Chapter 1045. I came out of seclusion this time to announce something, Zhong-yi slowly said. Instantly, the scene quietened down as everyone listened attentively, waiting for the other party's next words. Next, I will enter a long period of seclusion. Before this, all the declaration of war in the Array Faction Martial Arts School will be cancelled, and there will be no more actions. During this period, you need to keep a low profile and not cause any trouble for the martial arts school. Otherwise, this old man will definitely take action to punish him. As his words fell, everyone looked at each other. Zhong-yi's words were beyond their expectations. At this time, the Array Faction Martial Arts School was in the limelight, but they did not take this opportunity to expand their forces. Instead, they hid like a turtle, which made many people puzzled. Some people showed dissatisfaction on their faces. Schoolmaster, our Array Faction Martial Arts School is now very powerful. Even if you are in seclusion, there are not many forces that can compete with us. Why give up such a good situation at this time? He is right. Schoolmaster, we can take this opportunity to expand the strength of our Array Faction Martial Arts School. It will not be long before our Array Faction Martial Arts School can truly rise to the top in the desolate great world. Schoolmaster, everyone tried to persuade him, but Zhong-yi only looked at them coldly. Gradually, the voices of the people who spoke became low. They could also see that Zhong-yi's state was not right today. Inexplicably, these people all felt some kind of death threat. Are you done? If you are, then it is my turn to speak. Zhong-yi looked around. His cold eyes were like ice blades, scraping everyone's cheeks, making them feel a faint pain. I am not discussing with you, nor am I listening to your opinions. I am giving you an order. The Array Faction Martial Arts School cannot cause any trouble, and all existing troubles must be solved. But at the same time, you must not make a big deal out of it. If you violate this order, you will not be let off easily. Do you understand? Cold words. It made those people's hearts tremble involuntarily, then they hurriedly responded. We understand. That's for the best. Zhong-yi nodded his head and said, the peace will not last long. When I come out of seclusion, it will be the time for the Array Faction Martial Arts School to rise to the top. Prepare well. Remember, keep a low profile. After finishing, Zhong-yi did not wait for their reply and directly got up and left. The Purple Cloud Palace. In the main hall, Hongjun sat cross-legged on a futon. The jade pendant was already full of cracks, as if it would break at any time. In front of him, there were a few other Taoists sitting as well. I have a premonition that a great calamity is coming. When the time comes, I will ascend and leave. The Purple Cloud Palace will also cease to exist. Pack your things immediately and leave with the Purple Cloud Palace's inheritance. I don't wish for the orthodoxy of the Purple Cloud Palace to be destroyed when I leave. A calm and gentle voice rang out in the hall, causing the expressions of the few young Taoists to change. Master. In their eyes, their master was an omnipotent god. It was said that the strongest person in the desolate great world was the celestial being. However, in the eyes of these Taoists, Hongjun was the most powerful expert of the desolate great world. Moreover, he was an existence that surpassed the Deva level. True, immortal. Perhaps he was the only true immortal in the world. Some Taoists were in disbelief. Master's cultivation is #1 in the world. What kind of calamity could make Master immortalize? No one in the world can do it, but what if it's not a human? Hongjun smiled faintly and said meaningfully, not a human? The Taoists looked at each other. Hongjun did not say much about this matter. Instead, he changed the topic slightly. When I ascend and leave, I hope that the orthodoxy of the Purple Cloud Palace will not be destroyed. In addition, I also hope that the orthodoxy of the Purple Cloud Palace can spread and grow in the desolate great world. At this point, he paused for a moment. Hongjun said, you once wanted the Purple Cloud Palace to accept disciples. I didn't agree at that time, but now I don't have such scruples. Remember, after I ascend, you will need to preach to the world. At that time, even if the Purple Cloud Palace is destroyed, the orthodoxy will continue to be passed down. Master. There's no need to say anything more. Do you remember what I said? We remember. The Taoists lowered their heads in response. Hearing that, Hongjun had a gratified smile on his face. All right, then you can leave. After that, he waved his sleeves, and in an instant, the stars moved. The disciples didn't even have time to react before they disappeared from the hall. Outside the hall, before the disciples could come back to their senses, they saw the hall door close with a bang. At the same time as the hall door closed, an ethereal voice sounded from within. Let's go. Leave immediately. Don't waste any time. Hearing that sentence, the disciples kowtowed in front of the hall. Then they stood up. After taking a deep look at the closed hall door, they began to organize the others to leave. In the hall, Hongjun retracted his palm. The gentle smile on his face was no longer there. Instead, it was replaced by indifference. It was an indifference that did not belong to living beings. He took out the jade pendant. It had already begun to crack inch by inch. His expression was calm as he watched the jade pendant shatter. He did not do anything. Very well. Let me experience how strong the heavenly Tao of this world is. His calm voice sounded in the hall. As soon as he finished speaking, the jade pendant completely shattered, overflowing from the gaps of his fingers like fine powder. The next moment, heaven and earth shook. The sky that should have been clear was filled with endless lightning. All the cultivators in the desolate great world felt their hearts palpitate. Then, they looked up at the sky with a horrified expression. What happened? No one knew. The changes in heaven and earth made them feel the threat of death. At the same time, in the secret chamber, Zhong-Yi also felt the palpitating aura. He instantly understood that this was the awakening of the heavenly Tao that the Emperor of Heaven's incarnation had mentioned. He did not dare to make any strange movements. Even Zhong-Yi was afraid that the heavenly Tao would sense the fact that he was a world traitor. At this moment, he held his breath as if he had met his natural enemy. He trembled there. Purple Cloud Palace. Hongjun seemed to have unlocked some seal. The aura on his body became ethereal and vast. The entire hall could not withstand this aura and quietly collapsed. Then, in the sky, when countless lightning bolts lingered, a huge crack suddenly appeared in the void. A terrifying eye appeared from within. Its eyes were indifferent as it looked directly at the Purple Cloud Palace. Boom! A destructive force erupted and blasted toward the Purple Cloud Palace. Hongjun floated up and struck out with his palm without changing his expression. It collided with the destructive force. Chapter 1046. Buzz. The two forces collided, and the void was destroyed silently. Great sound void. That was it. All the experts in the desolate great world looked at the void that was constantly being destroyed in the sky with a shocked expression. It was as if they had seen the end of the world, and endless despair rose in their hearts. They wanted to escape. However, they were shocked to find that they were in the world, and there was no way to escape. And if they wanted to resist, that force was too strong, and it was not something an ordinary celestial could compare to. Is the world going to be destroyed? Some celestial experts were horrified. Ever since he became a celestial, he had never experienced the feeling of death so vividly in the past thousands of years. Even though he had seen top-notch experts fight in the game, he had never seen them fight before. But a game was a game after all. No matter how strong the power was, one would not really die. Compared to the current situation, it was a completely different feeling. At the same time, either in the mountains, in the bustling city, or inside the imperial city, all the experts who were cultivating in seclusion woke up. Without exception, their faces were filled with despair. Strong. Terrifyingly strong. Just the aura that leaked out from the battle between the two unknown powerhouses was enough to shock everyone. The void was being destroyed. The mountains were disappearing. The traces of the original existence of the Purple Cloud Palace were disappearing bit by bit. Some disciples of the Purple Cloud Palace who had not gone too far saw the place they had been staying for a long time disappear with their own eyes as if it had never appeared. The shock in their hearts could be imagined. In the void, Hongjun took a step into the air and directly attacked the heavenly Tao. According to normal logic, he should have left the moment the heavenly Tao was about to awaken. However, as the Tao ancestor of the First Era, Hongjun also had his own dignity. In the First Era, although the heavenly Tao was strong, it was not qualified to make him flee.
Right now,
It was the same.
so,
From the beginning to the end, he had never thought of fleeing without a fight. Even if he wanted to retreat, he had to fight before retreating. Otherwise, it would be a disgrace to the Tao ancestor. Billions of years have passed in the blink of an eye. I also want to see what the real heavenly Tao is. Hongjun had a faint smile on his face. He took out a horsetail whisk from somewhere and waved it casually. A large number of white threads were like living rules. They intertwined into a torrent and bombarded the heavenly Tao. At his level, he had long surpassed the limits of the previous rules. What were the rules of the world? What myriad Tao laws? It was easy enough for him to take it over and use it for himself. Facing Hongjun's attack, a cold glint appeared in heavenly Tao's eyes. Immediately, blood-colored lightning shot out. When the two forces collided, they both disappeared into nothingness. Thunder magic. It just so happens that I'm also good at thunder spells. Let me see if my purple heavenly thunder is more powerful than your apocalyptic thunder. Hongjun smiled. He did not move at all. With just a thought, a purple thunder sea was born in the void of heaven and earth. In the sea of thunder, the purple thunderbolts transformed into ferocious beasts, tearing the void apart with ease. Boundless lightning overflowed, looking like a gorgeous destruction. Destroy. Hongjun spat out a word and waved his horsetail whisk. Instantly, the sea of thunder rose and swallowed everything. The eye of heavenly Tao did not have any extra work. Only the blood-colored lightning struck down and fought with the sea of thunder. Rumble. The huge, desolate, ancient great world was directly covered by the earth-shaking sound of thunder. All beasts prostrated. They did not dare to move at all. Thunder was a natural threat to beasts. Apart from that, those cultivators who were about to break through the tribulation were all hiding in their own places, trembling. How could this be? My thunder tribulation clearly seems to take some time to come. Why do I feel like it will come at any time? When immortals fight, mortals suffer. In the past, those high and mighty cultivators were all wailing now. When it was normal, cultivators did not have thunder tribulation. But when some key realm breakthroughs, there would be thunder tribulation. Apart from that, cultivators who walked the physical sage system would also have thunder tribulation. However, the arrival of the thunder tribulation had a time pattern and would not strike randomly. However, amidst the rumbling of thunder that covered the world, those cultivators felt that the thunder tribulation that should not have come was about to descend. That terrifying feeling. It made many cultivators feel the threat of death. In the secret chamber, Zhong Yi directly woke up from his state of seclusion. He raised his head and looked up. That was the ceiling of the secret chamber, but his gaze directly penetrated the obstruction of the secret chamber and saw the thunder gathering in the sky. My heavenly tribulation. It's coming. With this thought in mind, Zhong Yi's face was full of astonishment. Impossible. Didn't I just pass the heavenly tribulation? Why is there another one now? It shouldn't be. Although he walked the physical sage system, every time the heavenly tribulation came, it was because he had accumulated enough foundation in his original realm, and then it would trigger the thunder tribulation. But now, how long had it been since he broke through? He had just stabilized his realm in the first level of the celestial being realm, and there was still a huge gap between him and the second level of the celestial being realm. Unless he was given a few more years of accumulation, or even more than 10 years of accumulation. Otherwise, there was no possibility of triggering the heavenly tribulation. Just as Zhong Yi was wondering if he had sensed wrongly, thunder rumbled in the sky again. Not long after, a bolt of lightning struck down, directly in the direction of the Array faction dojo. The top of the secret room exploded. Zhong Yi was caught off guard and was directly hit by the lightning, and his whole body emitted black smoke. **CK. No matter how well-mannered he was, he couldn't help but curse. That's not right. It's impossible for me to pass the heavenly tribulation so quickly. If the interval between the heavenly tribulation was really so fast, then wouldn't the other people who walked the physical sage system all die? Foundation was not allowed to accumulate. The heavenly tribulation would strike again after a short interval, and it didn't give him a chance to breathe at all. No matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to withstand such frequent thunder tribulations. At this moment, the second heavenly tribulation was about to come. Without much time to think, Zhong Yi could only leave the secret room and step into the air to go somewhere else. He couldn't pass the heavenly tribulation in the Array faction dojo. Otherwise, if the heavenly tribulation was concentrated, it would affect others. The Array faction dojo. It was his own painstaking effort. If it was destroyed by the heavenly tribulation, then he would be ashamed of the ancestors of the Array faction dojo. Just as Zhong Yi left, the other members of the Array faction dojo finally regained their senses from the deafening roar that had just occurred. Looking at the secret room that was emitting black smoke, and thinking back to the blinding lightning just now, many people's faces were first filled with shock, but it quickly turned into surprise. The dojo master broke through again. Chapter 1047. If not for the breakthrough, why would there be a thunder tribulation? Thinking of Zhong Yi saying that he was going into seclusion and looking at the current heavenly tribulation, many people understood. On the other side, Zhong Yi was already surrounded by the heavenly tribulation. When the first heavenly tribulation came, he was caught off guard and was hit directly. However, his foundation was not weak and he did not suffer any serious injuries. However, now that the heavenly tribulation was concentrated, its power was getting stronger and stronger. For a cultivator who had just broken through to the celestial being realm, the pressure was not ordinary. What is going on? Why did the heavenly tribulation come at this time? Zhong Yi's face was gloomy and there was a trace of panic. The heavenly tribulation came, but its power was much stronger than before. However, the heavenly tribulation kept bombarding, and he did not have time to think so much. At this moment, the Emperor of Heaven's incarnation that seemed to have disappeared in his sea of consciousness suddenly spoke. That is because there is an expert who is fighting with the heavenly Tao and is good at using thunder techniques, causing the heavenly tribulation to come early. In addition to the thunder techniques, the power of the heavenly tribulation will increase. You have just broken through to the first level of the celestial being realm, and your foundation is not enough. Whether you can survive the heavenly tribulation will depend on your luck. Originally, the Emperor of Heaven's incarnation did not want to contact Zhong Yi to avoid being detected by the awakening heavenly Tao. But what he did not expect was, Hong Jun was so stubborn that not only did he not leave when the heavenly Tao awakened, he also wanted to fight with it. In this way, the attention of the heavenly Tao was completely attracted by Hong Jun. It was not a big problem for him to take this opportunity to wake up. Hearing that, Zhong Yi did not feel happy about the awakening of the Emperor of Heaven's incarnation. He understood the meaning of the other party's words. The power of the heavenly tribulation increased. His foundation was not enough. Tribulation. It was very likely that he would fail. As for the consequences of failure, there was no need to say more. Senior, doesn't that mean I'm dead for sure? Zhong Yi expressed that he did not want to die. He had just started, and the Array Faction Martial Arts Club had not reached the top level of the desolate Great World. Moreover, he had a great future. If he died like this, he was really unwilling. So, Zhong Yi could only place his hopes on the Emperor of Heaven's incarnation, hoping that the other party would save him. He's dead for sure. Not necessarily. The Emperor of Heaven's avatar spoke first, then fell silent. On the other side, Zhong Yi, who was currently resisting the heavenly tribulation, was almost anxious to death. If you have something to say, then say it quickly. Don't say half of it and leave me hanging. You're making me anxious. After a long time, The Emperor of Heaven's avatar seemed to come back to his senses and continued to speak. Right now, you should undergo your tribulation first. Naturally, it would be best if you can succeed. Logically speaking, this heavenly tribulation is not your normal heavenly tribulation. So, even if you succeed, you will only be at the first level of the sky human stage. But on the other hand, while others could only go through the tribulation once at the first level of the heaven tier, you could go through the tribulation twice. The accumulated foundation would be of great benefit to you. Even in the future, his chances of breaking through to the true immortal realm would be slightly higher than others. After all, the heavenly tribulation doesn't come just because you want to. Every time the heavenly tribulation comes, it's both dangerous and an opportunity. Danger. Opportunity. Zhong Yi calmed down a little. Then, he thought of something else and couldn't help but be distracted and ask, "What if I fail to transcend the tribulation?" If you fail to transcend the tribulation, then you will naturally die. However, I can use some means to preserve a part of your soul and then be reborn in the great thousand world. But in that case, you will have completely abandoned your current body. At that time, the nature of your life will be the same as the people of the great thousand world. The same as the people of the great thousand world. In other words, he would become an NPC. Zhong Yi found it hard to accept this result. Although there didn't seem to be much difference between the game and reality at the moment, he didn't want to become a person in the game. If I enter the great thousand world, what will be the difference from now? To a certain extent, there won't be any difference. But in terms of essence, you can compare the great thousand world to an illusion and the world you are in now to reality. And the level of reality is higher than the level of illusion. The Emperor of Heaven's avatar said calmly. The level of reality had always been higher than the level of illusion, but it wasn't absolute. After reaching a certain level, illusion could also surpass reality. Just like now. Hong Jun was an illusion of life, but he could rely on his own strength to fight with the way of the heavens in reality, although from the current situation, the other party was at a disadvantage. However, compared to other creatures of the real level, the Tao ancestor could easily crush them. Just as Zhong Yi was hesitating, the Emperor of Heaven's avatar said, whether it's the level of reality or the level of illusion, it's all about one's own strength. For example, the Taoist you met earlier is an existence of the level of illusion. But in front of him, do you have the confidence to fight against him? I understand. Zhong Yi took a deep breath and understood the key point in his heart. Yes. The essence of life wasn't important. What was important was the strength. As long as one had enough strength, it didn't matter what level of life it was. Recalling the feeling of being like an ant in front of that Taoist, Zhong Yi understood for a long time. Immediately, he stopped thinking about it and began to focus on facing the heavenly tribulation in front of him. Even if there was a way out now, Zhong Yi didn't want to give up easily. Reality was good. Illusion was good. According to what the Emperor of Heaven's avatar said, it didn't matter much. But he still wanted to struggle.
Come on.
Let me see if the second heavenly tribulation has the qualifications to make me feel despair. Zhong Yi's aura surged, and he punched out. In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked. When he was transcending the tribulation, there were also many cultivators who were affected by the heavenly tribulation. Originally, there hadn't been a single heavenly tribulation in several years. In the end, in one day, people transcended the heavenly tribulation one after another. Such an unforeseen event. It also shocked some experts. No, I can't accept it. Give me a few more years, and I will definitely succeed in transcending the heavenly tribulation. Why did the heavenly tribulation come in advance? Heaven wants to destroy me, but I can't accept it. Below the heavenly tribulation, wails and roars were endless. Not everyone had the confidence to face the heavenly tribulation without being prepared.
So,
many cultivators died under the heavenly tribulation. Such an unforeseen event made more cultivators who didn't understand the reason tremble, afraid that the heavenly tribulation would strike their heads for no reason. When the heavenly tribulation came, the battle between Hongjun and Tian Dao was not over. The power of destruction. It was still raging. Chapter 1048. Heaven and earth were trembling. The divine wind was howling. There were also shocking thunderbolts that destroyed everything. Hongjun waved the horsetail whisk with one hand and controlled the sea of lightning with the other. Endless rule power was born and extinguished with his every move. Purple heaven godly thunder. It was the supreme thunder technique that he had comprehended when he achieved Tao in the first era. It was only slightly weaker than the strongest Du Tian godly thunder in the first era. Then he looked at the heavenly Tao. The destructive thunderbolts were getting more and more intense, as if the entire world was about to come to an end.
Boom, boom.
Two terrifying forces were constantly colliding with each other. The destructive fluctuations made one's heart palpitate.
Die.
A majestic voice rang out, and the apocalyptic lightning tribulation suddenly became even more terrifying. The extremely dense blood color bombarded, and the purple sea of lightning was instantly torn apart. At the same time, thousands of white threads of the horsetail whisk broke, and the rule power was also destroyed. Heavenly Tao voice. Hongjun's calm expression finally turned serious. Heavenly Tao voice. It meant that the heavenly Tao of this world had officially awakened. The heavenly Tao that fought with him earlier could only be said to be the instinctive consciousness of the heavenly Tao. It was not a true awakened state. As the heavenly Tao truly awakened, an aura that was several times stronger than before suddenly erupted. The sky collapsed. It was as if there was a terrible storm raging there. All the cultivators in the desolate great world looked at the fluctuations in the sky in horror, and they no longer had the slightest thought of resisting. When the heavenly Tao was completely awakened, outside the desolate great world, a fleet broke through the sky and stopped in the void. In the fleet, there were old men and young men and women. However, no matter who it was, when they looked at the floating continent in front of them, their faces became extremely solemn. The heavenly Tao of this world has actually awakened. What exactly happened in that world? Should we go over and take a look? No. The heavenly Tao has awakened. Its strength is not something that ordinary cultivators can contend with. If we get involved, we will definitely die. When the young men and women spoke, the old man shook his head and refused. He had traveled in the void for so many years and had a good understanding of the heavenly Tao. When it was normal, the heavenly Tao was in a state of hibernation. It would only occasionally show some of its methods when something major happened. But in general, normally, the heavenly Tao would not truly awaken. However, as long as they were to awaken, the power that they would erupt with was definitely not something that ordinary people could withstand. Subsequently, the old man's eyes flickered as he looked at the sky. There's a decaying aura on the continent. That's a world that's about to reach its end. Now that the heavenly Tao has awakened, perhaps it's because the world is heading towards its end. Under such circumstances, the heavenly Tao is the craziest. We can't provoke it. However, when the heavenly Tao is destroyed, we can go and take a look. Speaking of which, a meaningful smile appeared on his face. The heavenly Tao was destroyed. It was as if there were no experts in that world. One had to know. A world, no matter how weak it was, would contain a large number of treasures. If he and the others could go deeper, they would definitely reap great rewards. In that case, thus, there was no need for them to wander around in the void. They could return with a full load. When the others heard this, they also understood the old man's plan. Everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at the continent. Elder Chun, I heard that there are many resources in this world. Now that the heavenly Tao has awakened, will it attract other experts? Someone looked worried. Hearing this, the smile on the old man's face faded a little. The void is boundless. What's happening here might not be discovered by others. Moreover, we're not weak. If someone really discovers us, we can just kill them. If they can't kill them, they could only think of another way. He didn't say this out loud. He only thought about it in his heart. On the other side, with the awakening of the heavenly Tao, the battle between the two had officially entered a white-hot stage. Boom! The two forces collided. Hong Jun patted the top of his head. Suddenly, a medium-sized jade butterfly floated up. The jade butterfly was completely white. It looked pure white and flawless. However, it seemed to contain endless Taoist rhymes. It gave people a kind of vast pressure. Go! With a thought, he directly commanded the jade butterfly to attack. The jade butterfly flew up and overflowed with Taoist rhymes. All the blood-red lightning that bombarded it was swallowed by the Taoist rhymes. Next, the jade butterfly shook. Blood-red lightning shot out from the jade butterfly and bombarded the eye of the heavenly Tao. Crack! It was as if something had broken. Tiny cracks appeared on the eye of the heavenly Tao. The cracks appeared very quickly. They also disappeared very quickly. Only a drop of golden blood dripped from the eye and landed on the ground below. Boom! The heavenly Tao was furious at this moment. It was injured. It was injured. Ever since it was born, no one had ever been able to hurt it. Even if the heavenly Tao didn't take the initiative, it still had an instinctive impulse. Now that it was injured, it completely aroused the anger of the heavenly Tao. In an instant, the terrifying attack came again. Hong Jun's expression was solemn. He directly controlled the jade butterfly to block it. Boom! The void collapsed. The jade butterfly trembled. The Taoist rhymes on it were constantly destroyed and reborn. Gradually, the Taoist rhymes on the jade butterfly dissipated more and more. Even the subsequent rebirth couldn't keep up with the consumption.
Soon,
Slight cracks appeared on the jade butterfly. Hong Jun's expression changed slightly. He shook his head helplessly. Without the real Paoang, there is still a gap with the real level. Forget it. Today's battle will end here. When the Paoang battle comes in the future, this poor Taoist will learn from you again. After saying that, he pushed his palm forward. Purple lightning was born in the palm of his hand. A thunder flower formed by thunder bloomed. It directly crossed the jade butterfly and bloomed above it. The thunder flower bloomed. On the condensed petals, there were terrifying Taoist patterns engraved. When the apocalyptic thunder struck down, the thunder flower trembled. The Taoist patterns on it faded at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, Hong Jun's expression was normal. He put away the jade butterfly with one hand. Then, after taking a deep look at the heavenly Tao's eye, his figure disappeared into the void. He left from the void. He went directly to a city, found the game cabin, and lay in it. When Hong Jun entered the game cabin, the surrounding void shook as if it was about to split open at any time. At the same time, the thunder flower bloomed to the point of covering a city. No matter how the heavenly Tao attacked, it couldn't immediately break the seal of the thunder flower. Not long after, a crack appeared in the void and swallowed the body in the game cabin. When the body was swallowed, the thunder flower in the sky seemed to have lost its support and was directly destroyed in front of the apocalyptic thunder. Chapter 1049. Rumble. The heavenly tribulation continued to bombard. A black tiger bathed in the lightning tribulation. No matter how the lightning tribulation bombarded it, it did not suffer much damage. Gradually, the tribulation clouds dissipated. The roar of the tiger shook the sky. All the black tiger powerhouses congratulated in unison. Congratulations to my emperor for successfully transcending the tribulation. Congratulations to my emperor for successfully transcending the tribulation. Hearing that, the black tiger emperor transformed into his human form with a faint smile on his face. You may all rise. Thank you, my emperor. In the main hall, the black tiger powerhouses were all gathered here. On the main seat, the black tiger emperor transformed into his human form. The reason for transforming into his human form was not to imitate the human race, but to get closer to Qin Shujian. In his opinion, since that supremacy traveled the world in such a form, then this form must have its benefits.
So,
the Black Tiger Emperor also followed suit. As for the other powerhouses of the Black Tiger tribe, they also followed suit after witnessing the actions of their sovereign. It was not only the Black Tiger. Nowadays, the the powerhouses of the various clans like to travel in human form most of the time. To put it bluntly, they were all influenced by Qin Shujian. The Black Abyss said in a deep voice, "My emperor has successfully transcended the 3 calamities and 6 tribulations. It is time for the Black Tiger to be officially born." The White Tiger people have been rampant recently. This matter cannot be tolerated. When our clan is born, we will definitely declare war on the White Tiger people. Many true immortals were filled with righteous indignation. The White Tiger Emperor was the first to successfully transcend the tribulation, so the White Tiger people were also much more rampant. They attacked the Black Tiger's protective array several times. If it wasn't for the powerful protective array, it would have long been broken by the White Tiger people. Therefore, the Black Tiger was very dissatisfied with the White Tiger people. But because the Black Tiger Emperor had not transcended the tribulation before, the Black Tiger endured this anger.
But now,
there was no need to endure anymore. "How many true immortals does my clan have right now?" The Black Tiger Emperor asked the true immortals with a calm expression. Hearing this, the Black Abyss cupped his hands and said, "My tribe has 273 true immortals. Among them, there are a total of 5 middle-level true immortals. The only upper-level true immortal is my emperor. 273 venerables cherish them. 5 mid-tier true immortals." The Black Tiger Emperor nodded. He was quite satisfied with this answer. They had been in seclusion for tens of thousands of years. This made the Black Tiger's foundation much stronger than it had been tens of thousands of years ago. Several tens of thousands of years ago. Although Black Tiger also had true immortals, there was only one true immortal in the middle 3 levels, and the number of true immortals in the lower 3 levels could be counted on 2 hands. Look at the present. The number of true immortals increased by several times. In this way, the Black Tiger's strength could be considered to have increased substantially. The Black Tiger Emperor's expression was indifferent. With such strength, there is indeed no reason for us to fear the White Tiger people. From today onwards, the Black Tiger will officially be born. Remove the clan protection array and send our clansmen to inquire about the strength of the White Tiger people. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win 100 battles. Although we are not afraid of the White Tiger people, there is no reason for us to rashly start a war. Starting a war was fine. He had long wanted to declare war on the White Tiger people. However, after tens of thousands of years of accumulation, the Black Tiger's strength had increased greatly. The strength of the White Tiger people would not be much weaker if they started a war directly. If the White Tiger people were strong, both sides would suffer heavy losses. One had to know. The current situation of the myriad races was not optimistic. If the Black Tiger and the White Tiger people suffered heavy losses, then the Tiger people would be considered as toothless tigers. It was very likely that they would become the prey of other top clans. For this, the Black Tiger Emperor did not dare to be too rash. The Black Tiger has been born among the White Tiger people. The moment the Black Tiger Emperor successfully transcended the tribulation, the White Tiger Emperor had already understood.
to be honest,
The Black Tiger was a threat.
there was no doubt about that.
He had always wanted to find an opportunity to eliminate this threat and then unify the Tiger people. In the beginning, he did not transcend the 3 disasters and 6 tribulations. The White Tiger Emperor did not want to cause too much trouble. As for later, because the Black Tiger's clan protection array was too powerful, the White Tiger people had no way to break through the array. Until now, he could only watch helplessly as the Black Tiger Emperor successfully transcended the tribulation. It would be a lie to say that he did not feel uncomfortable. However, the Black Tiger Emperor's success in transcending the tribulation was already a foregone conclusion. The birth of the Black Tiger was also something that could not be stopped. Regarding this, the White Tiger Emperor had to consider the follow-up problem. Right now, the Eldar of the human race has wantonly annexed various small races and integrated his own strength. The other top races are also unwilling to be left out. Only the White Tiger people have been restrained by the Black Tiger and have been unable to show their strength. If this continues, I'm afraid there will be big trouble. His eyes were cold. The great tribulation of heaven and earth was getting closer and closer. Or rather, the great tribulation of heaven and earth had already begun. It was just that it was still in the early stages, so the myriad races had not erupted into a true war. But once the great tribulation began, there was no possibility of it stopping. The myriad races had not completely gone to war at the moment, but it did not mean that it would be the same in the future. To put it bluntly, races that were not strong enough would eventually become the vassals of other races in the future. If they did not become vassals, they were destined to be destroyed by other races. No matter what the outcome was, it was not something that the White Tiger Emperor could accept. The White Tiger people's hundreds of thousands of years of foundation absolutely cannot be destroyed, just like this. The White Tiger Emperor took a deep breath. He looked in the direction of the Black Tiger and had already stepped into the air, instantly disappearing from where he stood. The Black Tiger territory. Just as the clan protection formation was removed, a terrifying aura immediately crushed down.
Boom, space shattered.
The sun and moon lost their light. In that instant, all the Black Tiger people raised their heads to look at the collapsed space, as if the end of the world had arrived. Immediately after, a calm voice rang out from below. Since the White Tiger Emperor has come, why is there a need to cause such a huge commotion? The voice was calm and light, but the collapsed space seemed to have been flattened by an invisible force, and all the commotion disappeared without a trace. Instantly, the White Tiger Emperor's figure appeared from the void. Looking at the Black Tiger below, he did not have any fear and directly entered. On the mountain peak, the two of them stood facing each other. Although the two races had many grudges, they had no intention of fighting. It was as if they had been old friends for many years, chatting casually. White Tiger Emperor, for you to have the time to come to my Black Tiger territory, I wonder what business you have. Our two races are both branches of the Tiger people. This time, Ben Huang has come to discuss something with you. The White Tiger Emperor said calmly. Discuss? There was a faint smile on the Black Tiger Emperor's face, looking rather mocking. Ben Huang didn't miss here, did he? Last time, you secretly ambushed Ben Huang, and Ben Huang has yet to settle this matter with you. Later on, you attacked my Black Tiger's clan protection formation, and Ben Huang has yet to settle this matter with you. Now, do you think that my Black Tiger has something to discuss with your White Tiger people? Chapter 1050. Laughable. Extremely laughable. The Black Tiger and White Tiger people had long been at odds with each other. He hadn't made a move yet because the other party was also an emperor of a clan. That was why he gave him some face. Otherwise, the Black Tiger Emperor had already gathered all the experts of the Black Tiger clan to forcefully hold the White Tiger Emperor back. It wasn't impossible. After all, although the White Tiger Emperor was strong, he was only a level 7 immortal. He didn't think that he would be weaker than the other party. If he really pulled all the power of the Black Tiger Emperor, the White Tiger Emperor would be nothing more than a joke. Of course,
If it really came to that.
the counterattack of the White Tiger Emperor before his death wasn't something that the Black Tiger Emperor could withstand. Because of this was the biggest reason why the Black Tiger Emperor hadn't made a move yet. In the face of ridicule, the White Tiger Emperor didn't get angry. He only looked at the other party with a calm gaze. Ben Huang naturally understands your words. But Black Tiger Emperor, you should know that there are no eternal enemies or eternal friends in this world. There are only benefits. Although there is enmity between our clans, in the face of benefits, it's not like we can't put it aside. Benefits? The Black Tiger Emperor raised his eyebrows. This time, he didn't mock the White Tiger Emperor anymore. Instead, he waited for the other party to continue speaking. I believe that you know the current situation of the world better than I do. The humans and Eldar are annexing various small clans. The other top clans are also expanding their power. Only we, the Tigers, have been making no headway. To put it bluntly, the Tiger people are in their current situation because our clans are at odds with each other. If our clans can temporarily put aside our previous enmity, there are very few clans in the world who can contend against the tiger people. The White Tiger Emperor's eyes burned. He voiced out all the thoughts in his mind. Right now, the strongest among the myriad races is Eldar, but so what? Eldar only has Ling Huang, an upper-level true immortal. If you and I join forces, the tiger people will have two upper-level true immortals. At that time, even if we can't deal with Ling Huang, the tiger people will be a top clan comparable to Eldar. Tiger people are very strong. That was in the case of integration. After all, judging from the current situation, none of the major clans possessed two upper third-level true immortal-level experts. If the tiger people could have them, their strength would increase exponentially. Hearing this, the Black Tiger Emperor did not reply. Instead, he fell into deep thought. A moment later, he regained his senses. It's not impossible for our two clans to join forces, but the tiger people will eventually be unified. When that time comes, our two clans will have to compete. That's a matter for the future. Besides, Ben Huang would rather the White Tiger people be annexed by a branch of the Tiger people than the White Tiger people be annexed by a foreign clan. The White Tiger Emperor said seriously. Whether it was the White Tiger people or the Black Tiger people, strictly speaking, they came from the same source. On this point, this was something that the other clans did not have. The Black Tiger Emperor was thinking. There was indeed nothing wrong with what the other party said. A single branch of the tiger people was very strong, but it could not completely compare to those truly top clans, unless it could break through to the 8th level immortal realm. However, if it could break through, then the emperors of the other top clans could also break through. In terms of foundation, the innate advantages of the first batch of living beings were not something that he could compare to. Therefore, this so-called advantage would soon be evened out. In other words, now, the real possibility was to join forces with the White Tiger people. In that way, only then could the strength of the tiger people rise to an unprecedented peak. At that time, whether it was the Eldar or the human clan, they might not be able to threaten the tiger people, because no clan could have two upper-level 3 true immortals. Similarly, if the two clans joined forces, the number of true immortals of the tiger people would also increase to a terrifying number. If our two clans join forces, which clan will be the leader? If the two clans join forces, there will be no distinction between the two clans. Our two clans will still do our own things, but if any clan starts a war, the other clan will have to go all out. There must not be any prevarication. The White Tiger Emperor said in a deep voice. In addition, the tiger people have many branches now, and the strength of the tiger people is too divided. Therefore, Ben Huang thinks that our two clans should each subdue a part of the tiger people's branches and completely integrate the tiger people. At that time, you and I will each occupy half of the tiger people, and our strength will definitely increase greatly. Long before he came, he had already figured out the key points. Joining forces. That was inevitable. Then, there was the problem of subduing the other tiger people's branches. Originally, whether it was the Black Tiger or the White Tiger people, although they had the strength to subdue the tiger people's branches, they did not have a way to do so. To put it bluntly, if any clan made a move, the other clan would definitely stop it. In view of this, the tiger people had been unable to integrate, but if the two clans joined forces, there would be no such problem. The Black Tiger also seriously considered the pros and cons of the White Tiger Emperor's suggestion. According to his plan, he wanted to find out the strength of the White Tiger people and then find an opportunity to start a war.
But, to be honest,
the Black Tiger Emperor did not have much confidence that he could destroy the White Tiger people. Even if he really destroyed the White Tiger people, the Black Tiger himself would be seriously injured.
So,
he did not make a move. Although the true immortals in the clan were clamoring to declare war, they were only temporarily gathering information. In the end, they still did not have the confidence to protect themselves after destroying the White Tiger people. Now that the White Tiger Emperor had come looking for them, the other party's suggestion was indeed very beneficial to the Black Tiger in the long run. After a long time, the Black Tiger Emperor looked calmly at the person in front of him. The White Tiger Emperor's suggestion is indeed not bad. Ben Huang can't find any reason to reject it. But if our two clans join forces, if it's just a verbal agreement, I'm afraid that we might not abide by it. If you really have such a plan, our two clans will swear an oath of the rules. No problem. The White Tiger Emperor nodded in agreement. An oath of the rules. It was definitely going to be sworn. Unless the two clans were not sincere in their cooperation, if there were no restrictions at all, this cooperation was destined to be useless. The oath of the rules was sworn. It was just a matter of a moment. After the oath of the rules was sworn, the White Tiger Emperor left. At this moment, under the gaze of the Black Tiger Emperor, most of the tiger people's originally scattered luck had already gathered together. However, there were still obvious cracks in it, and there was no way to truly merge them together. 80% of the tiger people's luck is on my clan and the White Tiger people. Now that the two clans are in an alliance, the luck of the tiger people is temporarily integrated. The remaining luck is swallowed up by the other tiger people's branches. The luck of the tiger people is not as scattered as it is now. However, it won't be so easy to merge them together without a single crack. Unless the tiger people no longer had any branches. They had completely merged into one entity. However, if it really reached that step, the Black Tiger and the White Tiger people would definitely submit to one another. Chapter 1051. When the 10,000 races of the inner world were in turmoil, the upper-class world fell into silence. The demon abyss was destroyed. The heaven and earth passageway was sealed. It almost eliminated the connection between the upper-class world and the outer realm. At the same time, in the astral wind layer of heaven and earth, the heavenly court suppressed the 10,000 races and did not allow any major disputes between the 10,000 races. Even though the Emperor of Heaven was in seclusion at this time, there were 5 imperial emperors overseeing it. As a result, no one dared to act rashly. The 10,000 races were peaceful and entered a state of stable development. Among the 4 continents, the North, South, and West have existed for a long time. Only the Eastern continent was reborn after it was shattered. In addition, the human race monopolizes the Eastern continent, so the spiritual energy here is very rich. Speaking of which, the grotto heavens of the various continents are not as rich as the spiritual energy of the Eastern continent. Ian felt the spiritual energy of the Eastern continent with a smile on his face. He was not used to staying in the heavenly court. After all, after staying in heavenly abyss for so many years, the Lunar Star Lord hated staying in one place.
So,
after Qin Shu Jian went into seclusion, he and Yang left the heavenly court to travel among the 10,000 races. The 4 continents. For a half-step Dao fruit expert, it was just a matter of thought to go anywhere. However, neither Yin nor Yang had any intention of using their divine abilities to travel. Instead, like ordinary cultivators, they slowly arrived at the Eastern continent. Yang said, "It's normal for the spiritual energy of the Eastern continent to be rich. I heard that before the Emperor of Heaven became the Emperor of Heaven, he was still the Emperor of the human race. He destroyed several large races, took away their spirit veins, and buried them all in the Eastern continent. In addition, the spiritual energy is richer than that of the other 3 continents. TSK, the human race, is really lucky." Ian clicked his tongue. In his opinion, the human race had picked up a huge bargain. If not for such an expert reincarnating into the human race would not have been able to turn the tables a million years later. In terms of foundation, the human race could not be compared to the other large races. In the end, the reason why the human race could reach the stage was all because of Qin Shu Jian. Otherwise, no matter how powerful Emperor Zhongyuan was, it would have been difficult for the human race to grow to their current level in such a short period of time.
Right.
While enjoying the scenery of the Eastern continent, Yang seemed to have thought of something. Earlier, you said that you were comprehending yin-yang integration and celestial transformation. Have you made any progress so far? Hearing this, the smile on Yin's face stiffened. Then, he shook his head and sighed deeply. "I do have some ideas about yin and yang integration, but I don't have any clue about celestial transformation. Sigh, let's talk about it later." We've been like this for hundreds of millions of years, so time won't make a difference. Give me another million or so years, and I might have even more clues. Ian was not in a hurry either. Anyway, he had a lot of time. As the embodiment of the laws of heaven and earth, there was no limit to his lifespan. There was no lifespan limit. That meant that he had a lot of time to waste. If he couldn't comprehend it in 1 year, then he would spend 2 years. If 2 years wasn't enough, then he would spend 10 years. If 10 years wasn't enough, then he could spend 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10 million years. To ordinary true immortals, 129,600 years was the limit. They could either reincarnate and cultivate again, or they could just die quietly. However, for the embodiment of the laws of heaven and earth, 10 million years was just a matter of a snap of a finger. Time couldn't leave any mark on them at all. At this point, Ian paused for a moment, and then continued. Besides, how can it be so easy to break through? Haven't you seen that up until now? Only one heavenly emperor has successfully stepped into the Tao fruit realm. The Tao fruit that fought against the Emperor of Heaven is rumored to be an existence left behind by another era. Even so, there were only 2 Tao fruits in total. Right now, the 2 of us are the strongest experts in the world after the Emperor of Heaven. Even if we count the Tao fruit that is isolated in the void outside, we can still be ranked in the top 4. Hundreds of millions of creatures. If they could be ranked in the top 4, then they were definitely top existences. Now that the Emperor of Heaven had not come out, the other Tao fruit was hiding in the void outside. It could be said that, in the great wide world, the 2 of them were the strongest existences. Even Niu Dali and Chu Kuangtu might not be able to compete with them. Since they were both the strongest experts, it didn't seem to matter whether they were Tao fruits or not. Just as the 2 of them were talking, all of a sudden, there was an inexplicable vibration in the void. Then one could see that the originally clear sky was unknowingly covered by purple qi. The purple qi was vast and mighty, as if it was welcoming some supreme existence. It was vast and mighty, as if it was the might of the heavens. In the middle of all the purple qi, a purple lotus flower condensed. In the next breath, a crack appeared in the void. A white-haired Taoist walked out of it and landed on the purple lotus flower. In an instant, heaven and earth shook. Tens of thousands of Taoists roared. The hidden mother stream of laws also appeared out of nowhere. Various laws surged, and extremely rich Taoist runes turned into purple flowers and fell. At that moment, the 4 continents were all covered by a huge phenomenon. What's going on? Could it be that an expert has broken through?
Hiss.
All the powerhouses of the myriad races were incomparably shocked. In their line of sight, everything was covered by purple. At the same time, a supreme pressure spread out from it. Even the perfected immortals couldn't help but have the urge to kneel down and worship it. The East Continent. The Great Zhao Imperial Palace. As the Emperor of Zhongyuan, Emperor Zhao's expression was solemn. His eyes seemed to be able to barely see through the cover of the purple qi and see the purple lotus flower condensed on the purple qi. On the lotus flower, there seemed to be a figure there. When their gazes met, the figure seemed to have sensed something and looked over as well. At that moment, Emperor Zhao's heart trembled. He instinctively closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his eyes were already a little bloodshot. So powerful. The Zhao Emperor was greatly shocked when he recalled what he had seen just now. With his current means, it was hard to imagine. What kind of expert could make him unable to withstand the other party's gaze? Instantly, 2 words appeared in Emperor Zhao's mind. Tao fruit. Only an existence at the Tao fruit level could make him feel such a powerful pressure. Father. Xiang looked anxious. The appearance of an unknown and mysterious expert might be a great disaster for the human race. Emperor Zhao waved his hand and calmed the shock in his heart. Don't worry. Although the person who came is strong, the heavenly court still has heaven and earth guarding it. It's not impossible to resist. The heavenly court. In the palace. Niu Dali sat cross-legged. However, just as the laws manifested and the purple flower floated down, he suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with shock. Worship of the Myriad Daos. Chapter 1052. The Worship of All Daos. Over the course of a few eras, only a single person had been able to make all Daos bow to him. The Dao Ancestor. Niu Dali uttered those two words solemnly. One could imagine how shocked he was. Why would the Dao Ancestor appear at this time? Or could it be that a new Dao Ancestor was born in this era, so it triggered the worship of all Daos phenomenons? He wasn't sure. The worship of all Daos was too mysterious. Apart from the Dao Ancestor, no one else at the Dao fruit level could make the worship of all Daos. Not in the first era. Not in the second era. Not in the third era either. However, Niu Dali wasn't sure if such a powerhouse would appear in this era. However, even among all the powerhouses in the great wide world, no one could suddenly achieve the step of worshipping 10,000 Daos. Qin Shujian was the only one who had such a possibility. However, he looked in the direction of the heavenly palace, but there was no movement there. Obviously, the worship of all Daos had nothing to do with the Emperor of Heaven. Could it be that those two star lords have broken through? No, it's impossible for them to break through. There are rules and restrictions, so they will only be at the half-step Dao fruit level for the rest of their lives. As soon as this thought came to his mind, Niu Dali shook his head. However, if it wasn't for Yin and Yang, there wouldn't be any half-step Dao fruit powerhouses in this world. Not to mention half-step Dao fruit. There wasn't even a 9th level immortal. In this case, it was impossible for a native creature to advance to the worship of all Daos. His thoughts were in a mess. Niu Dali couldn't calm down anymore. He walked out of the palace and saw Chu Kuangtu walking towards him. Something happened. This was the first thing Chu Kuangtu said after meeting him. He didn't understand what the worship of all Daos was. However, he could feel a terrifying threat from it. Without a doubt, a new Dao fruit had definitely appeared in this world. Niu Dali's face was solemn when he heard this. I know. That's the worship of all Daos. The worship of all Daos? When the Dao Ancestor preached in the Purple Cloud Palace, there was a phenomenon of the worship of all Daos. I don't know if the Dao Ancestor has returned or if a new Dao integration cultivator has appeared, but the one who triggered the worship of all Daos is definitely not simple. Niu Dali's expression was unprecedentedly solemn. Ever since the phenomenon appeared, he felt a lot of pressure. He was suspicious. It was very likely that the Dao Ancestor had come into being. After all, if Rahu could not die, how could a Dao Ancestor die? Moreover, Daoist and demonic Dao restrained each other. Since Fiend Ancestor Rohuo had been reborn, it was only natural that Dao Ancestor Hongjun appeared. Opposite him, Chu Kuangtu's face was also solemn. You mean to say that the Dao Ancestor has come out? Although he was an expert from the second era, he was very familiar with the reputation of a Dao Ancestor. When he was at his peak, there was quite a gap between him and that Dao Ancestor. Niu Dali shook his head. It's hard to say. It's very likely that a Dao Ancestor has appeared. However, if a Dao Ancestor has appeared, it's impossible for the Qin Emperor to not sense it. Next, we'll have to see how he deals with it. The Dao Ancestor was born. This might not necessarily be a good thing. Now, Qin Shujian reigned supreme in the great wide world. If a Dao Ancestor came into being, some conflict might erupt between the two sides. To tell the truth, he didn't think that Qin Shujian could compete with Tao Zhu, even though Tao Zhu had defeated the reborn Luo Ho. After all, although Luo Ho was strong, compared to that Dao Ancestor, there was still a big gap. Chu Kuangtu looked at the heavenly palace, where there was no movement from beginning to end. I wonder what the Qin Emperor plans to do now. There was no movement from the other side, and he didn't know what exactly they were planning. Anyway, when it came to matters of that level, it was not something that he, who had not recovered his peak strength, could participate in. Subsequently, Chu Kuangtu retracted his gaze and looked at Niu Dali. If the Qin Emperor really falls out with the Dao Ancestor, which side will you side with? If I remember correctly, strictly speaking, you're also part of the Dao Ancestor's line. As early as the end of the First Era, there was no such thing as the Tao Ancestors line. I'm only part of the Taiching Holy Man's line, but I have nothing to do with the Tao Ancestor. This can't be confused. Niu Dali glanced at him. Early after the Tao Ancestors' Tao integration, the Tao sect had already split. Later, when the First Era was destroyed, the Tao sect fell apart. There were many disciples of the Tao Ancestor, and each disciple represented a line. It was said that they were of the same root, but in fact, there was no big relationship. Furthermore, even if the Qin Emperor falls out with the Tao Ancestor, what can you and I do? You and I may be able to fight against a half-step Tao fruit now, but in front of a real Tao fruit, we're no different from ants. Niu Dali looked a little unwilling. They were both Tao fruits. They had also experienced the end of an era. Some people could protect themselves. Even if an era was destroyed, their strength would not drop much. Some people reincarnated and cultivated again, and in a short time, recovered to their peak, and even reached another level. Some people could only climb up with difficulty, hoping that one day they could recover their former cultivation. The gap between the three was not ordinary. As a Tao fruit, he also had his own dignity. But the truth was in front of him, and Niu Dali could not help but be convinced. Whether it was Hongjun or Qin Shujian, his foundation was much worse than the two of them. Thinking of this, when he looked at Xu Kuangtu, there was a touch of sympathy. Fortunately, this blade master was as useless as him. Otherwise, how embarrassing would it be? What are you thinking about? Xu Kuangtu looked at Niu Dali's eyes and felt uncomfortable all over. He suddenly felt very dissatisfied. Nothing. I'm just a little emotional. Niu Dali shook his head. We're both Tao fruits, but why is the gap so big? You and I have reincarnated and cultivated again, but we still haven't recovered the cultivation of our previous lives. Look at the Qin Emperor, he's stronger than before. The Tao Ancestor and the others are ancient gods of the First Era. Their foundation is not comparable to others. Hearing this, Xu Kuangtu's face darkened.
What do you mean by this? Alas.
Niu Dali just sighed and did not answer. Since they were all in the same boat, there was no need to say so much. But his silence made Xu Kuangtu even more upset. The other party's words touched his soul. There was no harm without comparison. Now, compared to other reincarnation Tao fruits, the two of them were really a little miserable. But on second thought, he could not be blamed. After all, it had only been a few decades since the reincarnation. A few decades. It could be said that they had a strong foundation to reach this point. But compared to Qin Shujian, the gap was ridiculously big. Chapter 1053. Above the Purple Lotus. The rules appeared as if the living beings were worshipping. Hongjuan's expression was calm. Purple clouds formed under his feet as if they covered the entire world. I haven't been back for a long time. So this is the boundless world of this era. It's still a lot worse than the First Era. He was different from other people who entered the player world. He didn't enter by possessing a player's body. Instead, when the Third Era was destroyed, he directly entered the player world with his true body. Then, he hibernated step by step, waiting for an opportunity to enter another era. Until now, Hongjun had truly returned. All Daos worshipped. His divine telekinesis swept across. Everything in the boundless world was easily sensed by his divine telekinesis. The 10,000 races in the world are weak. The strongest is only a middle 3 true immortal, and there are so few true immortals, however. There are 2 half-step Tao fruit existences. So they are the embodiment of the rules of heaven and earth. No wonder. Although the desolate great world was connected to the boundless world. However, Hongjun couldn't learn too much about the boundless world from the players. According to his guess, in the great wide world, there should be many powerhouses. No matter which era it was, there were countless experts in the boundless world. Even if the Tao fruit was limited, there were countless true immortals below the Tao fruit level. It had never been as scarce as it was now. Just as his divine telekinesis expanded and touched the astral wind layer, All of a sudden, the array set up in the sky above the heavenly court shook. Sanhua, who was at the center of the array, emitted a shocking sword chi and slashed in a certain direction. With the heavenly court as the foundation of power, even without the support of a cultivator, a connate cardinal treasure could unleash great power. That sword. It cut through the void and crossed the barrier of time. Hongjun didn't move. The purple lotus under his feet trembled. A petal detached and blocked in front of the sword chi. Boom! The two forces collided. The petal withered. The sword chi disappeared. Connate cardinal treasure. I think that's where the heavenly court is. Hongjuan's eyes flickered. There was a heavenly court in every era. However, the difference was that the strongest experts of the heavenly court in each epoch differed in strength. Just like the first era, there used to be several heavenly courts. Some heavenly courts were very strong, while others were weak. There was no way they could fight against the Dao fruit. However, he had once fought Qin Shujin's incarnation in the desolate great world and understood that the other party was already a Dao fruit-level existence. In other words, although the 10,000 races of the great wide world were weak, they still had Dao fruits to hold down the fort. Recalling the sword chi just now, Hongjun pondered for a moment and understood the origin of the sword chi. There was no other way. There were only a few connate cardinal treasures in each epoch. As for sword-type connate cardinal treasures, they could be counted on one hand. It's not the 4 immortal exterminating swords. Although that sword energy is heavy, it's not as powerful as the 4 immortal exterminating swords. Looks like it's the second era's essence scattering. Hongjun smiled. He had some understanding of the sword master's scattering essence. It was a true top-notch divine weapon. Although the immortal exterminating 4 swords were very powerful when they were first born, there was no way for them to match the level of primordial cardinal treasures. It was only through continuous nurturing that he reached the peak step by step. However, scattering essence was different. It was a supreme treasure that gathered the essence of the second epoch and was born from it. It was at the level of a connate cardinal treasure. However, he did not expect scattering essence to exist in the heavenly court. In this case, there were only 2 possibilities. Either the sword master had joined the heavenly court, or the sword master had been killed. That was why scattering essence fell into the hands of the heavenly court. He calculated in his mind. Hongjun sighed. The end of the epoch didn't kill you, but you died here. It's really unexpected. The sword master had really died. He also felt a little emotional about the death of a Dao fruit expert. But it's fine. If he died, then so be it. Now that he's inferior to others, it's natural that he lost. Hongjun's expression returned to calmness. At this moment, the purple chi within hundreds of millions of miles was destroyed. 2 tyrannical forces rushed over and stopped in front of him. Who dares to cause such a commotion in the great wide world? Tell me your name. A cold voice sounded. Yin and Yang looked at the person in front of them and felt deep fear in their hearts. As soon as the heaven and earth phenomenon appeared, they had headed in the direction of the source of the phenomenon. They were the heavenly court's star masters. Now that an unknown expert had appeared, there was naturally no reason to retreat. Although the aura on Hongjun's body was as frightening as an abyss, the 2 of them were also the embodiment of the heaven and earth law. Their strength was close to the Dao fruit level and was not much weaker. The supreme Yang law, the supreme Yin law. Hongjun looked at the 2 of them with an indifferent expression. He had already noticed their existence from the very beginning. The 2 of them could not hide their roots in front of him. Immediately after, Hongjun's indifferent voice sounded, his eyes calm as if he was indifferent to everything. Since you are the embodiment of the laws, why don't you bow when you see me? What a joke. Since we were born, how many people are worthy of our bow? Where did you come from? How dare you be so rampant? Yin laughed in extreme anger. Bow? Bow my ass. Before Qin Shujin appeared, he was the supreme expert in the world. Even after the other party was born and he submitted to the heavenly court, he was still a top existence. Apart from the Emperor of Heaven, no one else was worthy of his bow. Even the heavenly Tao. It was the same. Yang's expression was indifferent, and his tone was cold. Where exactly are you from? Why are you causing such a commotion? Do you know that the Heavenly Court is now the ruler of the Great Kiliacosm? The Heavenly Court has records of all the powerhouses. Anyone with an unknown background who tries to cause chaos in the world will die. The scene. It became solemn. Hong Jun put his hands behind his back, his expression still terrifyingly indifferent.
All right.
It's been a long time since anyone dared to speak to me like this. I am the Tao ancestor. If you don't bow to me, you don't respect the world. Anyone who doesn't respect the world should be killed. As soon as he finished speaking, he struck out with his palm. It was originally a simple palm, but it caused the Tao of heaven and earth to descend. At that moment, the sky caved in. The void collapsed. In front of that palm, Yin and Yang's hair stood on end, as if they had encountered something terrifying. They did not dare to hesitate. The two of them looked at each other and directly erupted with all their strength. In an instant, the supreme Yang law broke through the sky. The supreme Yin law descended like a river of stars. Two forces that represented extreme Yang and extreme Yin gathered and intertwined, finally evolving into an even more terrifying force that blasted toward the palm that contained the Tao of heaven and earth. Boom! The void exploded. That terrifying force erupted, and the world was almost pierced through. P.S. It's the end of the month. I'm begging for a monthly vote. Chapter 1054. Hong Jun had a strange expression on his face. So you're on the path of Yin and Yang integration. Unfortunately, you're still a little lacking and can't truly integrate Yin and Yang. And so what if you can really integrate Yin and Yang? In front of me, you're just like an ant. As he spoke, the palm that contained the laws of 10,000 Tao did not stop at all and continued to suppress the two of them. In an instant, the laws of Yin and Yang collapsed. In front of the myriad Taos, even the powerful sun and moon rules of order appeared weak. There was no way they could fight back. In the end, the two forces were destroyed. Both Yin and Yang's bodies exploded, and they plummeted into the void below. With just one palm, two half-step Tao fruit experts had been defeated, and they had almost died.
Huh?
Not dead? Seeing that his palm did not kill the two of them, Hong Jun's face seemed to darken slightly.
Then,
another palm print was launched and fell into the void below. All of a sudden, there was a terrifying heavenly might erupting. A figure in a green robe appeared there. When the palm that contained 10,000 Tao fell, the other party only threw a punch and destroyed both forces. They're just two juniors. Tao ancestor. Why do you have to lower yourself to their level? Qin Shujian said with a faint smile. Hong Jun's appearance also surprised him. Logically speaking, it should have been some time before the other party appeared, but he did not expect him to appear so soon. More importantly, the strength that Hong Jun displayed was not something that an ordinary Tao fruit expert should have. In the beginning, he was curious about how Hong Jun went to the desolate ancient world. However, now that he saw it, Qin Shujian understood. Qin Emperor. Hong Jun was not surprised to see the person who had appeared, and his tone was still calm. Since you don't respect the Tao ancestor, you should be punished, but since you've spoken, I'll give you face and let it go for the time being. Thank you. Qin Shujian nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, the scene calmed down again. The two of them looked at each other silently and did not speak. After a long time, Qin Shujian said slowly, I want to ask you, Tao ancestor, what are your plans for coming to the great wide world this time? Preach to the world, accumulate resources, and wait for the start of the Great War. There's no problem in accumulating strength and waiting for the start of the Great War. However, I'm afraid it's impossible for me to preach the Tao to the world. Qin Shujian shook his head with a faint smile on his face. Now, the Heavenly Court is the most respected in the world. The thousands of races in the world have their own Heavenly Court to preach the Tao, but there is no need for the Tao ancestor to interfere. If the Tao ancestor is willing, I can make the decision to leave a blessed grotto heaven for you so that you can recuperate. The Qin Emperor is very confident. Of course I'm confident. Otherwise, I wouldn't be qualified to reach my current level. It's good to be confident, but if you're overconfident, you'll become arrogant, Hong Jun said calmly. Hearing this, Qin Shujian smiled faintly. Whether I'm arrogant or not, I'm afraid it's not up to the Tao ancestor to decide. Speaking of which, some time ago, the fiend ancestor Rahu was reborn in the outer realm void and wanted to wreak havoc in the world. Demon ancestor Rahu. Hong Jun's expression changed slightly. Obviously, Rahu's existence was a big deal to him. Qin Shujian said, "The fiend ancestor is indeed the fiend ancestor. His escaping methods are indeed top-notch. I was careless and couldn't make him stay. However, if I meet him next time, I'll definitely kill him." I underestimated the Qin Emperor. Hong Jun looked at him deeply. To be able to defeat the fiend ancestor Rahu, Qin Shujian was indeed very strong. At the very least, he was not weaker than the ancient gods of the First Era. However, he did not feel much fluctuation in his heart. I admire your strength for being able to defeat Rahu, but I preach the Tao to the world in accordance with the will of the heavens. If the Qin Emperor stops me, it will be a heaven-defying act. The heavenly Tao cannot be defied. The Qin Emperor, don't get yourself into trouble. The heavenly Tao cannot be defied, but you, the Tao ancestor, can. Qin Shujian looked straight at him. Since he had already said that, there was no need to cover it up. Long ago, he had already made up his mind. If the Tao ancestor returned, he would have to do something. After all, no matter what. As the Tao ancestor of the First Era, it was impossible for him to willingly submit to the heavenly court. However, if he did not submit to the heavenly court would have to give up some of the benefits. However, in that case, it would not be in line with Qin Shujian's expectations. Therefore, no matter what, in the end, he had to rely on strength to speak. Alright, I also want to see what kind of realm the Qin Emperor of the Third Era has grown to. I'll wait for you in the void outside the realm. Hong Jun said faintly, then his figure disappeared. In the next breath, he had already appeared in the void outside the realm. Although the great wide world was obstructed by the heaven and earth barrier, it was useless for an expert of Hong Jun's level. Not long after he appeared, Qin Shujian's figure appeared there as well. The two of them looked at each other and did not speak. However, they tacitly headed towards the depths of the void outside the realm. Since they were going to fight, it would definitely be an earth-shattering battle. If the battle was too close, it would affect the great wide world. Whether it was Hong Jun or Qin Shujian, they did not want the great wide world to be damaged.
To put it bluntly,
a great wide world was quite important to a Tao fruit. The two of them moved and traveled through hundreds of millions of miles of void. In less than a few breaths, they could no longer see the shadow of the great wide world.
Then,
the two of them stopped. Hong Jun did not say anything else, and directly struck out with his palm. The 10,000 Tao rules in the void were instantly controlled by him. That was the power of a Tao ancestor. As long as he was in the void world, he could directly control the rules that existed there and then use the power of the rules for his own use. As expected of a Tao ancestor, Qin Shujian also praised him, which was rare. The power of the 10,000 Tao rules made him feel great pressure. However, pressure was pressure. However, it did not mean that he could threaten him. He punched out. The 10,000 Tao collapsed. That was the most primitive power, the power that contained a part of heaven and earth. No matter how vast the 10,000 Tao rules were, he could break them with his own strength. One force to break 10,000 Tao. That was it. The Qin Emperor is also on the path of breaking 10,000 Tao with one force. This is something that I did not expect. Well, let me see how far you have gone on this path. Hong Jun finally became serious. Breaking 10,000 Tao with one force was a supreme technique in the First Era. However, there was only one person who could break 10,000 Tao with one force in the First Era. Even in the other eras, he had almost never seen one.
Now,
Qin Shu Jian was the second. Chapter 1055. In the void of the outer realm, two terrifying figures were fighting against each other. As a Dao ancestor, Hong Jun could control the laws of all Dao. The many laws in the void of the outer realm were all under his control. The power of every strike seemed to be able to use the power of the void, making people feel despair. Any cultivator who achieved the Dao through laws, in front of the other party, they would be innately weaker. However, Qin Shu Jian was different. He did not achieve the Dao through laws, but by opening up a world on his own. He did not need to be troubled by the laws of all Dao at all, and his strength would not be suppressed. Although until now, Qin Shu Jian had not cultivated in the time array for long. However, in the face of a time flow that was 200,000 to 1, even if it was only a few months, it would allow many tens of thousands of years to pass in the inner world. Tens of thousands of years. With the abundant spiritual energy in the inner world, countless perfected immortal experts were born. The laws of heaven and earth were also developed to a powerful extent when the perfected immortals were born. At the same time, more and more laws were born in the world. Tens of thousands of years was a blink of an eye for ordinary Dao fruits, but for Qin Shu Jian, tens of thousands of years was enough for his strength to rise to a higher level, breaking all laws with one force. No matter how terrifying Hong Jun's attacks were, he remained unmoved. Every punch that he threw out had no laws flowing, but he could destroy tens of thousands of Dao laws. The Vietnam War. Hong Jun's heart became more solemn. The path of breaking all laws with one force was very difficult. For several eras, many experts had tried, but only two people had succeeded. One was Penggu of the first era. The other was Qin Shu Jian in front of him. The path of breaking all laws with one's strength is difficult. I once wanted to try it, but in the end, I found another path. I never thought that there would be a powerhouse like you in the universe. Well, I also want to see how strong it is to break all laws with one's strength. Hong Jun's expression was indifferent as a horsetail whisk appeared in his hand. As he waved it, the thousands of threads of the horsetail whisk turned into thousands of torrents. Qin Shu Jian's expression did not change. He stretched out his hand, and the scattered splendor that existed in the heavenly courts tore through the air and landed in his hand. In an instant, as the long sword slashed down, all Daos were destroyed. The horsetail whisk was a powerful connate spirit treasure, but the radiant sword was an even more powerful connate spirit treasure. Originally, he had no intention of using his numinous treasure. However, Hong Jun had already used his horsetail whisk. If he did not use his treasure, he would undoubtedly be at a disadvantage. Battles between Dao fruit experts were fought over a single moment. The appearance of any disadvantage could determine the collapse of the situation. Therefore, it was only natural that Qin Shu Jian would use the Sanhua sword. Faced with the sharpness of the primordial cardinal treasure, Hong Jun's expression changed slightly. With a thought, he unfolded a scroll. The yin-yang fish pattern engraved inside seemed to come alive. The power of the primordial chaos destroyed everything and easily blocked the sword chi. Taiji diagram. Seeing the scroll appear, Qin Shu Jian's expression changed. From what I know, the Taiji diagram was in the hands of the Grand Pure Holy Man. Now that it has appeared in your hands, it seems like the fall of the Grand Pure Holy Man has something to do with you. The Grand Pure Holy Man was a top-notch Dao fruit. Even now, he might not dare to claim that he could suppress the Taiching Holy Man. As for the Taiji diagram, it was a top-tier primordial cardinal treasure. In terms of power, it was not weaker than the Sanhua sword. Furthermore, the power of the primordial chaos of yin and yang could destroy everything. The Grand Pure Holy Man is my disciple, and the Taiji diagram was given to him by me. What's wrong with taking back the Taiji diagram? Hong Jun said plainly. As he spoke, the Taiji diagram had already suppressed him. The power of the primordial chaos of yin and yang made Qin Shu Jian's heart palpitate. Without hesitation, the Sanhua sword slashed out abruptly. The sword chi tore through the yin and yang in the void and smashed onto the Taichi diagram. Two powerful forces exploded. The two of them did not retreat, but the void behind them was destroyed silently. The Sanhua sword is indeed a top-tier divine weapon of the Second Era. I did not expect the sword master to die in your hands. Anyone who goes against me must die. The sword master died because he took the wrong path. Dao ancestor, don't take the wrong path. Qin Shu Jian laughed coldly. Although the sword master had a divine weapon, he was not strong enough. Hong Jun not only had a divine weapon, but he was also terrifyingly strong. This was the most difficult battle he had ever fought after breaking through to the Dao fruit realm. Even facing Luo Ho did not have such great pressure.
Boom. Boom.
Two powerful forces were raging in the void. The power of yin and yang suppressed the void. The unparalleled sword Qi shattered everything. While the two were fighting, Luo Ho was sitting cross-legged in the deepest part of the void. All the dark side forces in the void were attracted by a powerful force and gathered toward him. When the extremely dense power of the dark side gathered together, it formed an overwhelming black fog. All of a sudden, the black fog dispersed. Luo Ho opened his eyes, and a strand of shocking killing power shot out from his eyes, instantly disappearing into the void. In an instant, the void cracked. Any power that stood in the way of the killing intent was shattered. That's Qin Shujian's power. And the Taiji diagram's power. Who is he fighting? Wait, that force is Hong Jun. Luo Ho's terrifying power surged, shattering the void within hundreds of millions of miles. But he did not care. The scarlet in his eyes grew more intense. Hong Jun? How could it be Hong Jun? Luo Ho had always thought that Hong Jun had fallen in the tribulation of the Third Era, but he did not expect to sense Hong Jun's power at this time. Hong Jun. He was incomparably familiar with him. At the beginning of the First Era, it was Hong Jun who defeated him and then became the Dao ancestor, who controlled the heavenly Dao. If it was not for Hong Jun, Luo Ho believed that he was the one who suppressed the heavenly Dao. He would not be like now, struggling at death's door and then fleeing after being beaten by other Dao fruits. Hong Jun, it is unexpected that you are still alive. Good, it is good that you are still alive. This venerable self finally has the chance to personally take revenge for the First Era. If it were not for you, the world would not have experienced the rise of Dao and the disappearance of demons. You destroyed my Dao path. This hatred is irreconcilable. Luo Ho's face was ferocious. Compared to Qin Shujian, who had forced him to flee, he hated Hong Jun even more. It was because of Hong Jun that he ended up in such a situation. He suppressed the hatred in his heart. Luo Ho looked in the direction of the fluctuation again. Hong Jun is now fighting with Qin Shujian. Well, Qin Shujian is very domineering. Hong Jun is a Dao ancestor, and there is no possibility of him being under others. It is normal for the two of them to fight. However, Hong Jun is powerful and now has a connate cardinal treasure. Whether Qin Shujian can be a match for him is still a question. As the saying went, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. For a moment, Luo Ho had made a decision. Chapter 1056. In the void, the two of them continued to fight. Hong Jun waved his horsetail whisk to attack with one hand and controlled the Taiji diagram to suppress with the other. The superposition of the two treasures made Qin Shujian feel a great deal of pressure. A battle between cultivators. It was a battle of abhijanas and magic treasures. This was especially true when the difference in strength between the two was not too great. However, even though the pressure was immense, Qin Shujian was now continuously using the power of his inner world for his own use, and he did not show any signs of defeat. Not to mention defeat. Even if he was at a disadvantage, he did not fall. Slash. Qin Shujian's eyes were cold. When he slashed out with his sword, countless sword chi broke through the void and surrounded Hong Jun like a sword domain. In the next instant,
It was sword chi strangling.
seeing this, Hong Jun flipped his palm and a small banner appeared. When the small banner appeared, Monstrous killing power erupted from it and destroyed all the sword qi in an instant. Next, the small banner expanded in the wind, and many Khanate sword qi shot out. The killing power made Qin Shujian's expression change. Panga banner. He did not expect Hongjun to have another Khanate treasure. The Jade Clear Holy Man's Panga banner is also in your hands. The Shangqing Holy Man's Taiji diagram was in his hands. It could be said to be a coincidence. But the Jade Clear Holy Man's Panga banner was also in his hands. However, Qin Shujian did not have time to think so much. The Taiji diagram was already very stressful for him. Fortunately, he had Sanhua. Otherwise, he would have been at a disadvantage. After all, the Taiji diagram was a supreme treasure of the First Era. And it was a treasure of the creation of the world. That kind of power. It was not something that an ordinary Khanate treasure could possess. Of course, in terms of power, Sanhua was not an ordinary Khanate treasure and was not weaker. But now, under the premise of the Taiji diagram, there was another Khanate treasure. And compared to the Taiji diagram, the Panga banner was more inclined towards killing. It was a supreme existence that contained the killing power of heaven and earth. Its attacking methods were more powerful than the Taiji diagram. He activated the two supreme treasures to suppress it, and in addition, the horsetail whisk evolved into 10,000 Dao. Hongjuan's expression was indifferent. Why struggle, Emperor Qin? There is a huge difference in our strength. Why don't you just admit defeat? You and I have worked together to fight against the enemy. There is no need to embarrass yourself too much. Admit defeat? Qin Shujian was so angry that he laughed. If he really couldn't defeat Hongjun, he would accept it. However, his strength was not weaker than Hongjuan's. It was entirely because of the two Khanate cardinal treasures that he had the upper hand. Now, Hongjun's words could be said to have completely angered him. With a thought, Zhou Tian no longer hid his star map. A supreme treasure appeared out of nowhere. Vast stars hung down, and a large array was set up in an instant. Hongjun, since you are the Tao ancestor, I have always kept some tricks up my sleeve. Since you don't want to be shameless, don't blame me. Today, I will let you experience the Zhou Tian star formation of the First Era. Qin Shujian's cold voice sounded. Instantly, the stars swayed. The stars in the sky hung down, and there was a terrifying crisis in their brilliance. Zhou Tian's star formation. Hongjuan's expression finally changed. It was impossible for him to say that he didn't know anything about the supreme array of the First Era. However, what he didn't expect was Qin Shujian actually had Zhou Tian's star map, and it was such a high-level Zhou Tian star map. In this way, the power of the Zhou Tian star formation that was set up could not be underestimated. Emperor Qin, good move. The Zhou Tian star formation of the First Era in Dijun's hands actually reappeared in your hands. However, Dijun died when he controlled this array. Now, how can you do anything to me with this array? As soon as he finished speaking, the Taiji diagram covered the sky, and all the falling stars were suppressed and stagnated in midair.
Then,
the Panga banner waved, and the Khanate sword qi destroyed everything. The collision of the two forces caused the massive heavenly cycle star formation to tremble slightly. Qin Shujian smiled disdainfully. Hongjun, let's talk about it when you can break this array. Do you really think the Zhou Tian star formation of the First Era can be compared to this? What a joke. In order to refine the Zhou Tian star map, he had killed countless star beasts. Even a half-step Dao fruit beast emperor could only turn into nourishment for the Zhou Tian star map. Besides, the heavenly cycle star map had followed him into the inner world and was constantly nourished by the power of the inner world. The power of this supreme treasure was no longer comparable to what it was in the past. The array was set up. It wasn't that easy to break. In an instant, with a thought, Qin Shujian changed the array. The stars fell and turned into extremely powerful star beasts, constantly attacking Hongjun. The Khanate sword qi waved. All the star beasts that touched it were destroyed. However, in the Zhou Tian star formation, the star beasts were immortal. No matter how Hongjun killed the star beasts, they would be resurrected by a mysterious force in the next breath. I'd like to see how much power you have to maintain the array. Hongjun was a little angry. As a dignified Dao ancestor, he was now trapped by an array formation. Even though this array formation was the supreme heavenly cycle star array, so what? As far as he was concerned, even the Zhou Tian star formation was not qualified to trap him. Hongjun activated the power of the supreme treasure. Destructive ripples continued to bombard the massive heavenly cycle star formation. From the outside world, the array kept trembling. However, Qin Shujian was not afraid. The power of the Zhou Tian star formation came from two sources. One was the power of the environment, and the other was the power of the person who set up the array. It was obviously impossible to rely only on absorbing the power of the current void. On the other hand, the power he possessed could be said to be endless. There was no other way. There was a world inside. It was so capricious. Unless Hongjun had the absolute power to break the array in an instant, otherwise, if he wanted to rely on time to wear it down, he would definitely be defeated in the end. For this, Qin Shujian had absolute confidence. After all, his inner world was already very powerful. When he had just advanced to the Great Thousand World, his foundation was too weak and could not be compared to the current Great Thousand World. Then, after so many years of evolution, his inner world was no weaker than the Great Thousand World. A Dao fruit. No matter how strong the power it contained was, it could not be compared to a perfect Great Thousand World. Even if the other party was Hongjun, it was the same. Of course, this did not mean that the Zhou Tian star formation was really invincible. Any array had an upper limit to the power it could withstand. But unfortunately, the power that Hongjun displayed now was not enough to directly break the Zhou Tian star formation. Chapter 1057. In the end, the massive heavenly cycle star formation was no longer something that the massive heavenly cycle star formation of the First Era could compare to. The Zhou Tian star formation of the First Era. At its peak, it could also contend with experts of the Dao fruit realm. However, the current massive heavenly cycle star formation could completely suppress an ordinary Dao fruit. This was the difference. In the void, Luo, who watched the battle between the two, with a strange look in his eyes. When did Hongjun become so weak?
Yes.
He had become weak. In his sight, even though Hongjun was holding two connate cardinal treasures, he was suppressed by Qin Shujian's Zhou Tian star formation. There were no signs of him leaving the formation at all. According to Luo, whose guess, what he saw should be Hongjun suppressing Qin Shujian. When that time came, he would help and join forces to fight against Hongjun. Then, he would take the opportunity to enter the upper-class world. Everything. He was confident that he had thought it perfectly. But he had misjudged the strength of both sides. Which side should he help? Luo, who was confused now. In the current situation, he didn't know if he should help. If he did, which side would he help? If he helped Qin Shujian, the other party was now suppressing Hongjun. Even if he helped, the Emperor of Heaven would not appreciate it. But if he helped Hongjun, as soon as this thought arose, Luo, who dispelled it, he would be crazy to help Hongjun. Although he had a feud with both of them, he had a small feud with Qin Shujian. He had an irreconcilable feud with Hongjun. So, even if he stood by and did nothing, there was no reason to help Hongjun. Let's wait and see. Hongjun's strength is definitely more than that. Unless he has not recovered his strength at his peak, it will be very difficult for Qin Shujian to resist. Luo, who watched the battle between the two seriously. He was almost certain that the power that Hongjun was displaying now was definitely not at his peak. There was no other reason. If one were to say, who understood this Dao ancestor the most in the universe, if Luo Ho claimed to be second, no one would claim to be first. It was precisely because he understood Hongjun very well that he was certain that the power Hongjun displayed now was not the power he had at his peak. Even with his current strength, it was already much stronger than the vast majority of Dao fruits. But one had to know. He was a Dao ancestor. the ancestor of all Daos. That was a supreme existence that truly stood at the pinnacle of the universe. Among the ancient gods of the First Era, there was almost no one who could stand up to them. Aside from a few ancient gods, no ancient god was Hong Jun's opponent. At this moment, Rahu retracted his aura and didn't get too close. A Dao fruit's perception was powerful. If he got too close, it would be easy for the other party to sense him.
Boom.
With a wave of the Panga banner, terrifying innate sword chi burst out and killed many star beasts. At the same time, the Taiji diagram suppressed the universe and turned into a golden bridge, wanting to break through the entire Zhou Tian Great Astral Formation. However, there was a world inside the Zhou Tian Great Astral Formation. Every time the Taiji diagram expanded, the space inside the Zhou Tian Great Astral Formation would also expand. Could it be that a dignified Dao ancestor only has such means? Qin Shujian's mocking voice rang out. Hong Jun's face was filled with anger. Although he was extremely well-mannered, he couldn't let others step on his face and still be indifferent. Moreover, he had attacked the formation several times without breaking it, which had already made him angry. Good. What a great Zhou Tian Great Astral Formation. Then I'll see if it can really trap me. Hong Jun slapped the back of his head, and a bright moon rose. Looking at it seriously, one would find that the bright moon was actually a jade butterfly. The jade butterfly was resplendent, and there were fine cracks on it, causing the original flawless appearance to have a few more flaws. The jade butterfly appeared. 10,000 Daos shook. The power of the rules of the universe was greatly drawn in, and a terrifying power of the heavens descended from the darkness, directly tearing apart the massive heavenly cycle star array. At that moment, a gap appeared in the formation. Creation Jade Disk. Creation Jade Disk. When Qin Shujian lost his voice, Luo Ho also exclaimed, Creation Jade Disk. If the Taiji diagram and the Panga banner were Khanate cardinal treasures, then the Creation Jade Disk was a Khanate cardinal treasure that was about to transform. Like the god-slaying spear in his hand, it was in existence at the top of the universe. However, Hong Jun hadn't used the Creation Jade Disk, and Luo Ho almost thought that the other party had lost it. But he didn't expect. The other party had always had the Creation Jade Disk, and only now did he really use it. While Luo Ho was shocked, Qin Shujian's face was also gloomy. The Creation Jade Disk. I remember that when the third era was broken, the Creation Jade Disk was already broken. I didn't expect it to be repaired by the Dao ancestor. When he saw the jade butterfly appear, he already felt a lot of pressure. There was no other reason. The Creation Jade Disk was a supreme treasure at the top of the universe. Whether it was Sanhua or Zhoutian Star Map, they were inferior to the Creation Jade Disk. Luo Ho had the god-slaying spear in his hand, and he could defeat him because Luo Ho is not strong enough. But now, was Hong Jun not strong enough? Obviously. This Dao ancestor's strength was unparalleled. With the Creation Jade Disk and the help of 2 Khanate cardinal treasures, Qin Shujian felt that he was likely to fail. There was no other way. The Creation Jade Disk was too strong. Unless he had a 3rd Khanate cardinal treasure, he might have a chance to fight. But the problem was the Godslayer in his inner world was still in the transformation stage. If he took it out now, it wouldn't be of much use at all. 8 tribulations Zubing. Only 8 tribulations Zubing. Even if it was only a hair's breadth away from 9 tribulations Zubing, the difference was like heaven and earth. When the Creation Jade Disk appeared, a gap directly appeared in Zhoutian Star Array, and then the power of the Taiji diagram and the Panga banner burst out, quickly tearing the array into pieces. The array shattered. Zhoutian Star Map flew out. Qin Shujian reached out and grabbed the array map in his hand. The luster on it had dimmed a lot. Obviously, the shattering of the array just now had caused some damage to this cardinal treasure. On the other side, Hong Jun had the Creation Jade Disk above his head, the Taiji diagram under his feet, the Panga banner in his left hand, and the Khanate horsetail whisk. He was armed to the teeth. There was a faint smile on this Dao ancestor's face. It seems that I'm slightly better in this battle.
Qin Shujian was speechless.
He had always thought that he had enough treasures in his hands, but compared to the real players, he was still far behind. If they continued to fight, defeat was certain. However, Qin Shujian wasn't too worried.
Defeat didn't mean death.
Hong Jun didn't have the qualifications to completely suppress him. It was no big deal. He just had to extract the power of the living beings in his inner world and make both sides suffer. At this moment, a person stepped on the air and came over. A monstrous killing intent swept through the void. Chapter 1058. Hong Jun. His angry roar shattered the void, and in the next moment, a shocking massacre broke out. Hong Jun was shocked. He directly activated the creation jade disc to resist. In an instant, the sharp tip of the spear fell, and thousands of Dao shattered. Terrifying fluctuations erupted with the two as the center. In the end, Hong Jun's body shook slightly, and the tip of the spear disappeared. Unknowingly, a person had appeared in his line of sight. Luo Ho. Hong Jun, you didn't expect me to be resurrected in this era, did you? Although your creation jade disc is strong, so what if I've refined the god-slaying spear for countless years? Luo Ho laughed wildly. Although he was the one who was at a disadvantage in the previous confrontation, he did not have any regrets. As early as the first era, he was no match for Hong Jun. Hong Jun had become a Dao master and was firmly above him, the demon ancestor. However, now, not only were the two of them in the void, but they also had a powerful helper. If they really wanted to join forces, Hong Jun might not be their match. Luo Ho. Qin Shujian's eyes flickered when he saw the other party. He had expected the other party to make a move. After all, the outer realm was only so big. How could the fluctuations of the battle between two Dao fruits be hidden from the other Dao fruits? The difference was, he was Luo Ho's enemy, and Hong Jun was Luo Ho's enemy. If Luo Ho made a move, it might be to deal with him, or it might be to deal with Hong Jun. At the same time, he might also stand by and watch them suffer. There were three possibilities.
Qin Shujian was ready.
If it was the former, he would immediately return to the great wide world. As the Emperor of Heaven, even if the two of them joined forces, they would not be able to kill him in the great wide world. At most, it was just that the great wide world would be divided and no longer be dominated by the heavenly court. However, in that case, it was inevitable that he would be seriously injured. As for the latter, it would be much better. At this moment, Luo Ho also looked at Qin Shujian and restrained his wild laughter. Qin Emperor, how about we join forces to deal with Hong Jun? He's a Tao ancestor, and the great wide world will definitely not be willing to let go. Now that he has the good fortune jade disc in his hand, although you are strong, you may not be able to contend against him. You and I will work together. After that, you will give me a piece of land in the great thousand world. I promise that I will not be your enemy.
How about that?
He had had enough of the desolation of the outer realm. This was a completely different concept from the void he had learned about in the first era. Living beings were scarce. Moreover, they were all extremely weak. After spending so much time in outer space, Rahu had only managed to capture a few true immortals of the lower three levels. He had even reached the point where he could not be picky about the Devis. It could be said that he really did not want to stay here any longer. Being able to enter the great thousand world was undoubtedly a good thing. I don't want anything else. At least it wouldn't be as depressing as this place. Furthermore, where there were living beings, there would be more negative emotions, which would be of great help to one's cultivation. Hearing this, Qin Shujian pondered for a moment and then nodded. Sure, if the demon ancestor is willing to join forces with me, the heavenly abyss in the western prefecture of the great thousand world can be yours. The heavenly abyss was originally a place where Een remained. It was a place where killing power was condensed. Even the people of the demon clan could not withstand that power. It would be a waste to keep it. Since they all wanted to return to the great thousand world, then let them all go. If he let Hong Jun enter the great thousand world alone, then there would only be two forces fighting against each other, which was not conducive to development. If Luo Ho was also involved, then the three forces would balance each other out. Moreover, the demon ancestor's hatred for Hong Jun was much stronger than he had imagined. Since that was the case, it might not be a bad thing to let him enter the Great Thousand World. More importantly, now that Hong Jun had returned, it wouldn't be long before the other powerhouses from the player worlds returned as well. Qin Shujian felt that it was impossible for him to monopolize the Great Thousand World. Originally, he still had some confidence. However, after fighting with Hong Jun, he understood a principle. The ancient god of the First Era was the ancient god of the First Era. He was much stronger than the other Dao fruits. Hong Jun, it was already too much for him to bear. If he added the other Dao fruits, even if he guarded the Great Thousand World and relied on the luck of the Heavenly Court, Qin Shujian was not too confident. He had an idea. However, he did not intend to retreat immediately. It was time to fight. He still had to have a good fight. Now that Rahu had appeared, he could join forces with him. Even if he could not kill Hong Jun, he could still teach him a lesson. If he could take this opportunity to injure him, that would be even better. The enemy's strength would weaken. In other words, it was equivalent to a breakthrough in his strength. Hearing that the two of them were discussing how to deal with him, although Hong Jun's expression was indifferent, he felt that it was troublesome. Qin Shujian's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. If he did not have the Creation Jade Disc, he might not be able to deal with him with his current strength that had not recovered. If he added Rahu, Hong Jun felt that he might really fail miserably. Emperor Qin, Rahu is cunning and cruel. If you cooperate with him, it will be tantamount to asking a tiger for its skin. I won't say much. Give me a region to preach the Tao, and I won't interfere with the rest. How about that? Between the lines, it was clear that he was admitting defeat. Hearing that, Qin Shujian sneered.
No.
As soon as he finished speaking, the Sanhua sword had already slashed out. A shocking sword chi appeared and tore through the void. Admit defeat. That was because Rahu was there. That was why the other party would admit defeat. If he did not agree to cooperate with Rahu now, it would be equivalent to offending Rahu again. Next time, Rahu might not cooperate with him so directly. At that time, he did not have enough strength to suppress Hong Jun, so there would definitely be more trouble. Therefore, Qin Shujian had already made up his mind. There were some things. Either don't do it or don't hesitate once he decided to do it. Haha, Hong Jun, you still want to deceive people. You're such a hypocrite. How many people will believe your words now? The Taiji painting and the Panga banner are in your hands. I think Taiching and Yuqing died in your hands. You even killed your own disciple. You're really ruthless. Rahu laughed wantonly. The moment Qin Shujian attacked, he also attacked. The god-killing spear shattered the vacuum. An earth-shattering killing power erupted. The power swept out like a tide of stars, causing Hong Jun's expression to change slightly. Without hesitation, the Taiji painting turned into a golden bridge to protect him. The space that was originally just a foot away instantly extended to an infinitely long state. At the same time, the Panga banner shook, and the Khanate sword chi shot toward the two of them. Chapter 1059.
Kill.
The Panga banner focused on killing. The god-slaying spear also focused on killing. As the supreme treasure of the Second Era's sword master, the Sanhua sword was also in existence with extremely powerful killing power. The three earth-shattering supreme treasures erupted with power at the same time. The power gathered together and changed the color of the universe. The river of time fell. Then, it was shattered by a shocking power. The next moment, the creation jade butterfly emitted a dense light, and 10,000 Dao laws descended. Suppress. Qin Shujian roared. Zhou Tian's star map flew out and turned into a star universe that crushed down, forcefully shattering the 10,000 Dao laws. The current Zhou Tian star map. Even if it didn't set up the Zhou Tian star array, it was still a powerful Khanate supreme treasure. It had fused with countless star beast star cores and star cores. The power of those star cores gathered, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say that it was a starry sky. That power, even the laws couldn't withstand it. The 10,000 Tao laws collapsed, and Zhou Tian's star map collided with the creation jade disk. In an instant, Zhou Tian's star map was pushed back. The light on the creation jade disk dimmed a little. Hong Jun's expression was cold. The Tai Chi diagram shook again, and the golden bridge dissipated, turning into the yin and yang energy that destroyed everything. The yin and yang energy strangled. Qin Shujian's body shook, and cracks appeared on his indestructible body. But soon, an even more powerful force emerged from his body, dispersing the yin and yang energy and repairing the damage on his body. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Luo Hu's spear pierced through the void and was already stabbing toward Hong Jun's face. The creation jade disc spun and blocked in front of the god-slaying spear.
Boom.
The two forces collided, and the creation jade disc dimmed a lot. The subsequent impact made Hong Jun's body shake, and he couldn't help but groan. To be serious, the creation jade disc wasn't a defensive supreme treasure, but mainly used to enlighten all living beings. It could only control 10,000 Tao laws, so its defense was unparalleled. However, the 10,000 Tao laws had just been shattered by Zhou Tian's star map, and they hadn't had time to recover yet. They couldn't resist the god-slaying spear's attack again.
Boom.
Boom. The three Tao fruit-level experts were fighting in the outskirts of the void. None of them hid their skills, and they used almost all of their strength. That kind of vast power fluctuation. Even the Great Thousand World was affected by it. The Taiching Holy Man. That's the power of the Taiching Holy Man. In the heavenly court, Niu Dali's heart was filled with sorrow, and tears actually flowed down his cheeks. He had been by the Taiching Holy Man's side for countless years and was extremely familiar with his powers. However, Niu Dali was very clear. If the Taiching Holy Man was still alive, he would have sensed something. Furthermore, it was impossible that the other party would not come to see him. The fact that they hadn't come was enough to explain the problem. Looking at Niu Dali crying, Chu Kuangtu's expression was a little strange. Ever since he met this bull, he had never seen it in such a state. All of a sudden, sympathy welled up in his heart. Brother Niu, there's no need to be sad. If the grand pure holy man is dead, why can you sense his power? I can sense the aura of the Taiji diagram. Niu Dali shook his head, and the tears that he had shed were now gone. At his level, some of the emotions that ordinary people would have would rarely appear. It was like crying. It was even more impossible. It was just that when he sensed the power of the Taiji diagram, Niu Dali was a little distracted, which was why he shed tears. But now that he had calmed down, he returned to normal. However, the sadness in his heart was still there. Niu Dali said, "The Taiji diagram is the protective treasure of the Taiching Holy Man. If the Taiching Holy Man is dead, and the aura of the Taiji diagram appears, the Taiji diagram must have fallen into the hands of the Tao ancestor. If that's the case, the Taiching Holy Man's death must have something to do with the Tao ancestor." Murderous intent surfaced in his eyes. He recalled what the Taiching Holy Man had said to him in the past, and what he had instructed him to do. Suddenly, Niu Dali silently chanted an incantation. The incantation was extraordinarily mysterious, and even Chu Kuangtu couldn't quite understand it. Just as the incantation was being chanted, in the void outside the outer realm, the Taiji diagram that was originally protecting Hongjun suddenly shook, and a powerful illusory figure emerged from it. When the illusory figure appeared, it directly struck a palm at Hongjun. It was caught off guard. Hongjun was sent tumbling by the palm. "I'm returning this palm to you." As the ethereal voice fell, the illusory figure disappeared, turning into a mysterious yellow power that wrapped around the Taiji diagram and directly escaped toward the greater world. Soon, the heavenly barrier was torn apart. The Taiji diagram broke into the heavenly court and directly landed in front of Niu Dali. Taiji diagram. Seeing the familiar Taiji diagram in front of him, Niu Dali was shocked. He didn't expect the incantation that the Taiching holy man passed on to him in the past to be really useful. As for Chu Kuangtu, at this time, he was completely stunned. The Taiji diagram really appeared, and this bowl could even summon the Taiji diagram back from Hongjun.
Such a method.
It might not be too shocking. After all, it was very difficult to snatch a Khanate ultimate treasure from the hands of the Dao ancestor. However, compared to Niu Dali's method, Chu Kuangtu was more shocked by the Taiching holy man's method. Obviously, Niu Dali was not qualified to make the Taiji diagram return, and it was all because of the method left behind by the Taiching holy man that caused the Taiji diagram to return. Suddenly, a mysterious yellow light appeared on the Taiji diagram. In the next breath, a figure could be seen emerging from it. The moment he saw the figure, Niu Dali immediately knelt down and said, "Greetings, holy man." "Greetings, Taiching holy man." Chu Kuangtu also bowed and greeted. Although he didn't kneel down like Niu Dali, bowing now was already a great show of respect. Whether it was in his previous life or in this life, towards the Taiching holy man of the first era, this blade master had a great deal of respect, or rather, reverence. One had to know. There were many Dao fruits in several eras, but even so, the Dao fruits were divided into different grades and grades. Among them, the Taiching holy man was obviously the most superior existence. Among the three pure ones, his methods were the most unfathomable, and it was rumored that his methods were not inferior to Hongjuan's. Although Chu Kuangtu didn't dare to be sure, it was evident that he could retrieve the Taiji diagram after his death. "Dispense with the formalities." An ethereal voice sounded. Both of them stood up. Niu Dali looked at the familiar face in front of him and was very emotional. "Holy man, you have already, he wanted to say that he had died. However, it was not very appropriate to say that in front of the Taiching holy man. Chapter 1060. Yes, I've already died. The grand pure holy man smiled warmly. Hearing this, the joy on Niu Dali's face disappeared and was replaced by sadness. Then, Niu, you don't have to worry. If you hear the Tao in the morning, you can die in the evening. I have already seen the path of the future. Even if I die, I won't regret it. It's just that the first era has collapsed. You are the only one who will follow me. This is just a strand of my consciousness and I can't maintain it for too long. I'll leave the Taiji diagram in your care and use it as a protective treasure in the future. You can't let the Taiji diagram fall into the hands of the Dao ancestor. Furthermore, the grand pure holy man paused, and his expression was a little complicated. Furthermore, pass this Taiji diagram to father if you see him in the future. There's something I left for him inside, and the Taiji diagram will belong to you completely from then on. Father. Niu Dali's expression changed. There was only one person in history who could make the Taiching holy man address him as Godfather.
Just as he was about to say something,
the grand pure holy man waved his hand. I don't have much time left. Remember, the Taiji diagram can't fall into the hands of the Dao ancestor. Also, tell father that everything he lost is in Hongjuan's hands. After he finished speaking, the Xianhuang aura dissipated and the grand pure holy man disappeared without a trace. Holy man. Niu Dali wanted to touch it, but he couldn't touch anything. When the grand pure holy man completely dissipated, the Taiji diagram fell into his hands. The Taiji diagram. Niu Dali wasn't happy at all as he looked at this famous Khanate treasure of the first era.
If he had a choice,
he would rather use this treasure in exchange for the grand pure holy man's rebirth. However, things that were already set in stone couldn't be changed. Experts at the Dao fruit level could jump out of time. Once they died, not a single trace of them would be left behind in the long river of time in the past and future.
He died.
In other words, he had truly died. Hongjun. Niu Dali looked at the Taiji diagram in his hands, and a murderous look appeared on his face. It was obvious. The grand pure holy man's death definitely had something to do with Hongjun. It wasn't as simple as being killed by real power. However, Even if he had some guesses in his heart, there was no way he could put them into action. A deep sense of helplessness welled up in his heart. Hongjun was too strong. He was so powerful that even when he was at his peak in his previous life, he was only a little green bull in front of him. He did not have the qualifications to fight back at all. However, as soon as this feeling of powerlessness appeared, it quickly disappeared. I don't have a way to deal with you, but that doesn't mean that others don't have a way to deal with you. Moreover, now that I have the Taiji diagram, when I recover my peak cultivation in the future, my strength will definitely be stronger than before. Nyo Dali made up his mind. Then, he put away the Taiji diagram and looked at the void. Although there was a heaven and earth barrier there, one could clearly feel a terrifying wave of energy spreading over. This fluctuation, this proved that there were experts fighting. As for the people who were fighting, it went without saying.
Boom.
Hongjun coughed out blood and retreated. His Taoist robe was already stained with blood. When he lost control of the Taiji diagram and was hit by the Grand Pure Holy Man's backup plan, Qin Shujian and Luo Ho did not let go of this opportunity. They took advantage of the fact that the other party was distracted to suppress him with all their might. They lacked a connate cardinal treasure. In addition, they were hit by the Grand Pure Holy Man. Even with the creation jade disc, Hongjun could not withstand that power. It was normal for his physical body to be injured. Haha, Hongjun old man, I didn't think that even though the Grand Pure Holy Man had fallen, the backup plan he left behind could still make you suffer. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Luo Ho laughed out loud. Seeing Hongjun in such a sorry state was his greatest joy. Boom. At this moment, a powerful force exploded from Hongjun's body. The various rules of the universe seemed to be pulled by something. A vast force of pressure descended. At this moment, Hongjun's expression was indifferent. He held the creation jade disc in one hand and was like a supreme god that appeared in the mortal world. The terrifying force of pressure was unstoppable. That force of pressure, Qin Shujian and Luo Ho's expressions changed. Dao integration. Luo Ho spat out 2 words. Dao integration was Hongjun's most powerful technique. The reason why he was a Dao ancestor was that he could use the power of the universe to fight against his enemies. Although the Dao fruit was strong, it was not to the extent of transcending the universe. Therefore, Hongjun, who was in the Dao integration stage, was also the strongest. Qin Shujian's expression changed slightly. Looking at Hongjun, who was about to reach the Dao integration stage, he felt a strong pressure in his heart. Obviously, once Hongjun reached the Dao integration stage, even if Luo Ho joined forces, it would not be of much use. He would have to use all his trump cards to have a chance of resisting. But in that case, it would really be a lose-lose situation. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian immediately said, "How about we give the Death Sea domain to the Dao ancestor?" Since Tianyuan was given to Luo Ho, then the Death Sea domain could be given to Hongjun. Anyway, those 2 places were not of much use, so it was better to take them out and temporarily stabilize the 2 Dao fruits. There was a slight change in Hongjun's indifferent expression, and he temporarily stopped the Dao integration. I want 2 continents. Originally, he only wanted 1 continent, but now he wanted 2 continents. Obviously, he saw that Qin Shujian had given in, so he asked for an exorbitant price. Hearing this, Qin Shujian's face darkened. He directly connected with his inner world. At that moment, the time in his inner world instantly stopped, and the power of all the living beings was instantly extracted and gathered into his physical body. In an instant boom, a force that seemed to be able to shatter the universe erupted from his physical body. The void within hundreds of millions of miles was shattered. All the rules also collapsed. Luo Ho, who was standing at the side, was forced to retreat a distance by the impact of this force. He looked at his ally with horror in his eyes. The power that Qin Shujian displayed was already shocking enough. But compared to now, it was a far cry from now. The aura that erupted from his body was much stronger than that of Hongjun, who was about to reach the Dao integration stage. Ignoring Luo Ho's horror, Qin Shujian's expression was cold as he looked at Hongjun, who was unable to maintain his calm. Do you want the Death Sea domain or not? It's your choice. I know that you will definitely have a lot of future troubles if you reach the Dao integration stage in your current state. And my methods will also have future troubles. But if you really want to fight to the death, I'm not afraid. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider. Otherwise, let's fight. Threatening words. He was no longer hiding it. Hongjuan's expression was ugly. This was the first time he had been threatened, and he had no way to refute it. Chapter 1061.
Fight.
That was impossible. Just by looking at the aura emanating from Qin Shujian, it was stronger than him who was about to reach Dao integration. Even if he had reached Dao integration, he might not be able to fight against it. Moreover, he had not fully recovered yet. If he rashly reached Dao integration, he would be in danger of being counterattacked by the laws of the universe, or even assimilated. For a moment, Hongjun fell silent. It seems that the Dao ancestor has made a choice. Qin Shujian raised his hand, and the void collapsed silently. His every move seemed to affect the life and death of the universe. Seeing this, Hongjun frowned, and then his expression became indifferent again. Okay, from today onwards, the Sea of Death belongs to me. As soon as he finished speaking, that terrifying aura instantly dissipated. The power that had gathered in his body returned to the living beings in his inner world under Qin Shujian's control. The time and space that had been still also returned to normal. Feeling the disappearance of the aura, Luo Ho heaved a sigh of relief. Although the enemy now was Hongjun, the aura that Qin Shujian had just revealed made him feel a great threat. He was a little worried that Qin Shujian would not even let go of his allies. That would be awkward. After all, the two of them were allies, but it was just a verbal agreement. As early as in the front, they were still enemies. It was just that they had temporarily joined forces to deal with Hongjun. Hongjun gave in. A smile appeared on Qin Shujian's indifferent face. A wise man submits to circumstances. Since the Dao ancestor has agreed, I will naturally fulfill my promise. From now on, the Sea of Death belongs to the Dao ancestor. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at Luo Ho again. I will not go back on my promise to the demon ancestor. Tianyuan will be the demon ancestor's dojo in the future. However, there is one ugly thing that I will say first. That is, I will not interfere in the affairs of the 2 dojos. Similarly, I do not want the 2 of you to interfere in the affairs outside the dojo. Otherwise, it would not be good if there is any unhappiness. The threat in his words was obvious.
To this,
Luo Ho's expression did not change. Don't worry, Emperor Qin. I naturally understand this. Hongjun did not reply. He just nodded in agreement. The 2 of them agreed. Qin Shujian didn't say anything else. Shortly after, the 3 of them headed to the Great Thousand World together. This is the Great Thousand World. As it was Luo Ho's first time in the Great Thousand World of this era, he looked a little emotional. He scanned the area with his divine sense. Soon, he took in everything in the Great Thousand World.
subsequently,
The fiend ancestor frowned. Why is the strength of this Greater Thousand World so weak? That's right.
weak.
It was much weaker than he had expected. When the Great Wide World attacked the Demon Abyss, the demon ancestor was still asleep, so he did not know much about the Great Wide World. When he woke up, all the living beings in the Great Wide World had retreated. For a moment, Luo Ho did not know that the Great Wide World had become so weak. Among the living beings of the 10,000 races, the strongest were only true immortals, and they were only middle 3 true immortals. There was not a single upper 3 true immortal. Hearing this, Qin Shujian's face darkened. 1,000,000 years ago, the Demon Abyss attacked the Great Thousand World once, causing many cultivators of the Great Thousand World to fall. Later on, an expert cut off the rules of heaven and earth, causing no true immortals to be born in the Great Thousand World. It was not until a few decades ago that the broken rules were repaired. It is normal for it to be weaker. When Luo Ho heard this, he did not look embarrassed at all. The Demon Abyss attacking the Great Thousand World was their business. The Great Thousand World could not stop them. To put it bluntly, it was still too weak. However, Hong Jun caught the meaning behind Qin Shujian's words. Emperor Qin, are you saying that the Great Thousand World has only developed for a few decades? That's right. A few decades ago, the true immortals were cut off. Later on, true immortals were born. The evolution of the Great Thousand World is not simple. Hong Jun's face twitched. Yes, the Great Thousand World was indeed very weak, but it was relatively weak. Among the 10,000 races, there were more than a few hundred true immortals. Among them, there were even some middle 3 true immortals. If they had reached this stage in just a few decades, it would be a little shocking. Luo Ho now understood the meaning behind Qin Shujian's words and felt a little shocked. I moved the power of the stars in the outer realm to irrigate it. It's normal for the strength of the 10,000 races to increase quickly. However, this move is not conducive to future development. However, the time given to us now doesn't allow us to think too much. Qin Shujian said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a deep look at Luo Ho. Hong Jun was an expert who dared to face death and life. However, whether this demon ancestor was one or not was still up for discussion. If not, then it would be their true enemy. Noticing Qin Shujian's gaze, Luo Ho's expression did not change. Emperor Qin, you don't have to think too much. Falsehood and truth cannot coexist. How can I be willing to stay in this world? If a war breaks out, count me in. All right. Qin Shujian nodded in satisfaction. He did not care whether Luo Ho's words were true or false. As long as the other party gave him an attitude, that would be enough. Subsequently, he said, the Sea of Death is at the edge of the Eastern continent, and Heavenly Abyss is at the edge of the Western continent. The two of you can go there by yourselves. He waved his hand. 2 rainbow lights flew in the east and west directions. Then, a dense light appeared in the sky above the Sea of Death and Demon Abyss. The area covered by the light is your training ground. The area covered by the light happened to be the range of Heavenly Abyss and the Sea of Death. It was neither more nor less. After all, if it was not fixed, Luo Ho and Hong Jun might pretend not to know and deliberately spread the training ground. The light appeared quickly and disappeared quickly. But the two of them saw it. They nodded slightly. They disappeared into the world. The Demon Clan. Ever since Ian came out of Heavenly Abyss, the Demon Clan had moved closer to Heavenly Abyss, wanting to absorb the power inside to cultivate. However, suddenly, a rainbow light fell between heaven and earth, covering Heavenly Abyss. Such a phenomenon also surprised the experts of the Demon Clan. What happened? Rainbow light descending from the sky. Quickly go and report to my emperor. Although the phenomenon shocked the experts of the Demon Clan, it did not cause a big disturbance. The current strength of the Demon Clan. It was not comparable to before. As the Emperor of the 5 Directions, the demon ancestor Si Hanhai's strength was considered strong among the Emperor of the 5 Directions. Now, among the thousands of clans in the world, the strength of the Demon Clan was not much weaker than that of the Human Clan. Because of this, the people of the Demon Clan now had enough confidence to face any problem. There was no need to report. As early as when the rainbow light fell, Si Hanhai, who was cultivating, instantly woke up. Chapter 1062. Heaven and Earth Rainbow Light. Si Hanhai, who was dressed in a black robe and sitting on the blood lotus, could not help but frown. Although he was the imperial emperor of the 5 Directions, he was also the lord of the demon race. Therefore, Si Hanhai did not stay in the heavenly court to cultivate all the time. Normally, he would stay in the demon race. Now, when the heaven and earth rainbow light appeared, the demon emperor sensed that something was wrong. Normally, there would not be a heaven and earth rainbow light covering Heavenly Abyss. However, once such a phenomenon appeared, it usually meant that something was unusual. All of a sudden, Si Hanhai's heart skipped a beat. He looked in a certain direction in the void and seemed to have sensed something. He could not help but leave the blood lotus and enter the void. When he left in the void, there was also a vast blood cloud sweeping over. As soon as he appeared in the void, Si Hanhai saw the terrifying blood cloud. However, he was not afraid. Instead, his expression turned cold. Who dares to behave atrociously in the demon race? He shouted a warning. It was useless. Seeing this, Si Hanhai's expression was even colder. He asked, but the other party ignored him. It was undoubtedly not giving him face. As the dignified demon emperor and the heavenly court's imperial lord Shi Ling face. It was also very important. Therefore, Si Hanhai no longer held back and directly attacked. He struck out with his palm. His immortal essence erupted, and the terrifying palm strike struck the blood cloud. The expected blood cloud did not appear. When the palm strike touched the blood cloud, it seemed to have been swallowed by something. There was no sound at all. Such an unforeseen event, it made Si Hanhai's expression change drastically. He knew very well how powerful his palm strike was. Even Emperor Zhao of the human clan would not have been able to devour this palm without making a sound, unless the person who came was stronger than an upper 3 true immortal. However, in the great wide world, there were only a few experts who surpassed the upper 3 true immortals. None of them matched the blood cloud in front of him. Standing on the spot, Si Hanhai's mind was spinning wildly. He thought of the heaven and earth phenomenon in front of him, but that heaven and earth phenomenon was purple, which was very different from the blood cloud. At this moment, the blood cloud was approaching. Si Hanhai was just about to retreat when he saw the blood cloud dissipate. A middle-aged man in black clothes slowly appeared. "Oh, you're the current demon emperor?" Looking at the person in front of him, Rahu seemed somewhat disappointed.
Weak. Too weak.
As an emperor of the demon race, not only was he not a Tao fruit, but he was actually not even an upper 3 true immortal. He was merely a middle 3 true immortal. Compared to the demon emperors of the other epochs, he was far inferior. However, he then thought about how long it had taken for the other party to attain the Tao. Only then did Luo Ho feel slightly more satisfied. The middle 3 true immortals were weak. However, to be able to reach this step in a few decades, that was not simple at all. He looked at Si Hanhai as if he was looking at a promising talent. On the other side, however, Luo Ho's gaze made Si Hanhai feel uncomfortable all over. "Your Excellency is... I am Fiend Ancestor Rahu." Luo Ho smiled proudly with his hands clasped behind his back, as if he wanted the other party to kowtow to him. "Demon Ancestor Rahu." Si Hanhai's expression changed. Of course, he knew who the demon ancestor was. The demon abyss was formed by demon ancestor Rahu's physical body, and the other party was a Tao fruit powerhouse. However, what he did not expect was that the demon ancestor, who was supposed to be in the outer realm, actually appeared in the Great Thousand World at this time and attacked the demon race. For a moment, Si Hanhai felt a great deal of pressure. While looking at Luo Ho, he was already thinking of a way out. "Don't worry, I have no intention of attacking the demon race. Now that I have reached an agreement with the Qin Emperor, Heavenly Abyss will be my Tao field in the future. All creatures in Heavenly Abyss are qualified to obtain my great Tao. I see that your talent is not bad. If you have any ideas, you can also come to the demon abyss." He smiled faintly. Then, Luo Ho disappeared into the void. Although Si Hanhai's talent was not bad, he did not forcibly take him to the demon abyss, because it was not necessary. The so-called talent. It was not worth mentioning in front of a Tao fruit. Because to be able to become a Tao fruit existence, talent was not enough. In the world, there were many people with talent. Even the so-called geniuses that appeared once in 10,000 years, or even once in 1,000,000 years, were innumerable in the long history of the world. However, with so many geniuses, how many of them could achieve Tao fruit? Although Luo Ho felt that Si Hanhai's talent was not bad, he did not think that the other party would definitely be able to reach Tao fruit. If he could not, then in front of a Tao fruit, he would always be just an ant. Moreover, as long as he set up a Tao field in Heavenly Abyss, the Demon Emperor might not be able to resist. After all, a Tao fruit imparting the great Tao is not an opportunity that could be found everywhere. Of course, There was another important reason why Luo Ho did not take action. That was, Si Han Hai was a member of the Heavenly Court. If he took action, he would be going against the Heavenly Court. He was not afraid of the Heavenly Court, but he was wary of the Emperor of Heaven, Qin Shu Jian. The strength that the other party had displayed was comparable to Hong Jun at his peak. That kind of powerhouse. If it was not necessary, it was better not to provoke the other party. It was already a good thing that he could get Heavenly Abyss as a Dao field. If he offended the other party, he might be immediately expelled. If that happened, it would be really awkward. Thinking of the loneliness of the outer realm, Luo Ho shook his head. There was nothing to eat and nothing to drink. If he went to the outer realm, he would be looking for trouble. He entered Heavenly Abyss. Luo Ho immediately sensed the killing aura around him, as well as all kinds of negative auras, and a satisfied look appeared on his face. Not bad, not bad. This place should be my Dao field. The extreme of the Western state. This place can absorb the killing aura between heaven and earth. Although it's not as good as my Dao field in the first era, it's still not bad. He had achieved Dao through the demon Dao. That was why he called himself the demon ancestor. It could be said that the demonic Dao of the first era had been established by him. It was also because of this that Luo Ho was very satisfied with the environment in Heavenly Abyss. When he reached the bottom of Heavenly Abyss, he looked at the remaining aura below, and his eyes flickered. What rich nomological power! No, there's also the power of the Heavenly Dao. It seems that this place is not simple. Although Luo Ho did not know the origin of Heavenly Abyss, he could understand that it was definitely the Dao field of a powerhouse. Of course, the word expert was a relative term. The demon ancestor only needed to sense a little to know that the last cultivator who stayed in Heavenly Abyss was definitely not at the Dao fruit level. Otherwise, the remaining Dao runes in Heavenly Abyss were not as simple as what was before him. Chapter 1063. With a wave of his hand, the wreckage and rocks in the surroundings were instantly reduced to ashes. Then, Luo Ho's thoughts merged with the void, and a large hall was directly condensed by him. The hall landed. It stopped at the original position of Een creeping. That was the center of Heaven Abyss, and also the place with the strongest negative emotions. After the hall landed, Luo Ho waved his hand again, and a large pit appeared on the ground of Heaven Abyss. The next moment, as his thoughts fell, countless Dao patterns appeared from the void, and one by one, they were embedded in the pit. When the Dao patterns landed, the negative emotions drifting in Heaven Abyss immediately received a strong pull, converging towards the large pit frenziedly. 1 breath, 2 breaths. The strong negative emotions combined with the killing power condensed to the extreme, and immediately, black water droplets fell. Not long after, more and more water droplets gathered, and then they gathered into a black pool of water. Looking at the pool in front of him, Luo Ho first put the god-slaying spear in it. When this connate cardinal treasure that was about to transform fell into the pool, it began to crazily absorb power for itself. In the sky above Heaven Abyss, there was an invisible storm gathering. The negative energy that was slowly moving toward Heaven Abyss began to speed up at this moment. Rumble. The pool water rose at a speed visible to the naked eye.
Then,
Luo Ho threw some black seeds in it again. Not long after, the seeds took root and sprouted in the pool water, and buds formed one by one, and it was about to bloom. The remaining connate black lotus seeds from last time came in handy, but I'm afraid it'll be a little difficult to grow them to the level of a connate spirit treasure again. Looking at the black lotus that was about to bloom, Luo Ho shook his head slightly. Connate black lotus. It was a cardinal treasure of the first era. Although it wasn't a connate cardinal treasure at its peak, it had reached the level of a supreme-grade connate spirit treasure. Moreover, if carefully cultivated, it had the possibility of growing into a connate cardinal treasure.
but
It was too difficult to cultivate the connate black lotus. Except for the first connate black lotus in the world that was born naturally and reached the level of a supreme-grade connate spirit treasure, the other artificially cultivated black lotuses stopped at the level of a superior-grade connate spirit treasure at most. However, Luo Ho didn't expect that the connate black lotus in the pool water could really grow to the level of a supreme grade or even a cardinal treasure. Since the connate black lotus seeds, he might as well cultivate them. No matter what, it was better than wasting it on him. The lotus pond has been completed, and the main hall has been built. The only thing missing is the disciples. That was what Luo Xia thought. If it was in the past, he would have directly manifested a great divine ability, and naturally, he would be able to attract an endless number of disciples. After all, the Tao Fruits Tao lecture was an opportunity that was hard to come by even in billions of years. It was a pity. According to his agreement with Qin Shu Jian, only Heaven Abyss was his dojo, and he could not interfere with matters outside the dojo. But it doesn't matter. If I manifest my divine ability in Heaven Abyss, I can also let the outside world see it. As long as I don't intentionally leak my power, there won't be a problem. Luo Ho thought for a moment and came up with a plan. On the other side, when Luo Ho left, Si Han Hai immediately went to the heavenly court. There was no other way. Heaven Abyss became the fiend ancestor's Bodhidharma inexplicably. This was a tremendous threat to the fiend race. If it wasn't handled well, it might even cause a huge problem for the demons. When he arrived at the heavenly court, Qin Shu Jian was already sitting in the heavenly palace. Your subject greets the Emperor of Heaven. Emperor Xiling suddenly came to find me. What is the matter? Not long ago, the fiend ancestor Luo Ho entered Heaven Abyss. I wonder if this was arranged by the Emperor of Heaven? Si Han Hai asked respectfully. Hearing this, Qin Shu Jian nodded. That's right. Heaven Abyss belongs to the fiend ancestor. It was indeed arranged by me. The fiend ancestor is a Tao fruit level powerhouse after all. It's not easy to suppress and kill him. We can only temporarily suppress him. Heaven Abyss is not of much use to the heavenly court, so it's fine to give it to the fiend ancestor. Then my fiend dash, Si Han Hai looked a little anxious. Indeed. Heaven Abyss was not important to others, but to the demons it was very important. To be able to cultivate near Heaven Abyss, the benefits for the demons could be imagined. Now that there was an additional Tao fruit, to be honest, Si Han Hai did not dare to let the demons stay near Heaven Abyss. Seeing the fear in the other's heart, Qin Shu Jian's expression did not change. Emperor Xiling, don't worry. The fiend ancestor entered Heaven Abyss because he had an agreement with me. Heaven Abyss is his Tao field, but he can't show his divinity outside Heaven Abyss. In other words, him entering Heaven Abyss has no impact on the demons. Moreover, the fiend ancestor must have entered Heaven Abyss to recruit disciples and spread the great Tao. In some ways, the demons and the fiend ancestor are of the same origin. If we can obtain some opportunities from the fiend ancestor, it would be a great blessing. A Tao fruit explained. It was easy to imagine how much benefit it would bring to a race. However, Qin Shu Jian was not worried that the demons would betray the heavenly court after receiving the fiend ancestor's teachings. With the restrictions of the investiture of the gods, any problem was not a problem. Moreover, he was much stronger than Luo Ho. As long as the demons were normal, they would not betray the heavenly court for Luo Ho. Hearing the explanation, Si Han Hai could not help but be stunned. Yes. According to Qin Shu Jian, Luo Ho entering Heaven Abyss was indeed a great thing for the demons. It was just that he did not think in this direction at the beginning. Instead, he was worried that a Tao fruit would be detrimental to the demons. Now that he thought about it, for the demons, this matter was more beneficial than harmful. Thank you, Emperor of Heaven, for clearing my doubts. It was this subject who was blinded. Si Han Hai bowed. Qin Shu Jian smiled faintly. If there is nothing else, you can withdraw. Don't worry about Heaven Abyss. If the fiend ancestor dares to attack the demons, I will definitely not let him have an easy time. This subject will withdraw. Si Han Hai withdrew. After Si Han Hai withdrew, Qin Shujian first looked at the position of Heaven Abyss. It had been covered by a mysterious force, completely blocking his line of sight. Regarding this, he did not find it strange. How could a Dao fruit's training ground allow others to wantonly pry into it? Qin Shujian did not have the thought of seeing through the mystery and turned to look in the direction of the Dead Sea region. All of a sudden, a flash of inspiration appeared in his mind. Did I forget something? He pondered for a moment. Qin Shujian understood what he had forgotten. Heavenly Pattern Island. Even though the myriad races were flourishing, the Heavenly Pattern Island was still in the Dead Sea region. When he gave the Dead Sea region to Hong Jun, he had forgotten to fish out the Heavenly Pattern Island. Forget it, forget it. The Heavenly Pattern Island is in the Dead Sea region, so it's there. That place is Hong Jun Dao Field, and it is also a great opportunity for them. Chapter 1064. The Sea of Death. In the void, Hong Jun looked at the endless sea below, and his indifferent face turned a little dark. When he first came to the great wide world, he had also scanned the Sea of Death with his divine sense. However, there were no experts in the sea at that time, so he did not pay much attention to it.
Until now.
After Qin Shujian assigned the Sea of Death to him as a training ground, Hong Jun realized how desolate the Sea of Death was. The sea. It was a sea that stretched as far as the eyes could see. At the same time, there were also some ferocious beasts in the sea, but those ferocious beasts were not intelligent. They could not even communicate with them, let alone teach them the Tao. At this moment, how could he not realize that he had been tricked by Qin Shujian? However, even if he had been tricked, there was nothing he could do. After all, he had already agreed before. Of course, the most important problem was that Qin Shujian was too strong. If he fell out with him now, it would not do him any good. He came to the depths of the Sea of Death. That was where Yang was originally. Although Yang had already left, the remaining Dao runes still existed there, as if they would never be extinguished. Sun Law. When Hong Jun saw the Dao runes, he recognized the origin of the Dao runes. Sun Law. As for the manifestation of the Sun Law, he had seen it before. With a wave of his hand, a mysterious aura descended. The laws of the sun, which had not dissipated, were all eliminated in the face of this aura. Then, Hong Jun waved his hand again, and a huge rock appeared from the void. With a thought, flames ignited in the void and wrapped the rock. Time passed. The rock melted. Then, it turned into a palace that sat above the sea. The sea below was like a flat ground, supporting the palace and not letting it fall. Hong Jun waved his hand again, and a few words appeared on the plaque of the palace. Purple Cloud Palace. In an instant, boundless purple qi spread out from within.
Then,
Hong Jun took a step into the room. There was nothing in the hall, nor were there any portraits. There was only the word Dao written in the middle. It was the Dao ancestor. It should be compatible with the Dao. Compared to the Purple Cloud Palace of the past, the current Purple Cloud Palace is far inferior, but it can still be used as a training ground. Hong Jun sat cross-legged on a praying mat. Dao rhymes were constantly being emitted from his body, which were then absorbed by the palace. This was the power of the Dao fruit. Anything that was tainted by the traces of the Dao fruit would transform into a powerful treasure. If a powerful blacksmith were here, he would find that the Purple Cloud Palace in front of him was equivalent to an extremely powerful divine weapon. In the words of this era, he was comparable to Zhu Bing. In the words of the other epics, it was a connate spiritual treasure. He sat upright in the Purple Cloud Palace. Hong Jun scanned the entire Death Ocean realm with his divine sense. Very soon, Heavenly Rune Island appeared in his perception. I didn't expect that there would be real living creatures in the Dead Sea region. Human race, Eldar race, and demon race, the three races coexist. Good, very good. After Hong Jun carefully sensed the Heavenly Pattern Island, he revealed a satisfied smile. The three races coexisted. Although the Heavenly Pattern Island was a little small, and there weren't many living creatures on it. But it didn't matter. As long as there were living creatures, they could be the foundation of his Tao. Moreover, there were 3 races on the heavenly pattern island, and it wasn't restricted to one race. To Hongjun, this was a good thing. According to the agreement, I can interfere with matters outside the dojo, but it doesn't mean that others can't. In the future, if the disciples of the Purple Cloud Palace travel the world, it has nothing to do with this poor Taoist. Although doing so was a bit of an understatement.
But
if Qin Shujian could toss such a godforsaken place like the Sea of Death to him, then it was no wonder that he took advantage of this loophole as well. As long as he didn't break the rules, there wouldn't be any problems. He made his decision. Hongjun calmed his mind. Dense Tao rhymes were emitted from his body, and a vast purple aura shot into the sky, attracting the attention of everyone in the Dead Sea region.
then,
A majestic voice rang out. Heavenly Rune Island. Ever since Yang left, a large number of ferocious beasts were killed, and then there was the stone steel guarding the island. The island's safety factor had increased by a lot. Until now, the cultivators of the 3 races on the island could recuperate and didn't have to worry about so many problems. The only difference was, it was that the heavenly pattern island had the sovereign law, which completely cut off the path of others.
but
The people of the heavenly pattern island had long been used to this. Those who wanted to break through to a higher realm would directly leave the heavenly pattern island and go to the land to seek opportunities. Those who didn't want to break through and only wanted to be content with the status quo stayed on the heavenly pattern island, quietly living their lives.
but today,
A purple aura was emitted from the depths of the Dead Sea region, and a loud voice accurately entered the ears of all the cultivators on the heavenly pattern island. The Purple Cloud Palace is open. Those who are fated can come and listen to the teachings of the Great Tao. Starting today, the Dead Sea region is officially renamed the Purple Cloud Sea region. The loud voice was like the might of the heavens, shaking people's hearts. Purple Cloud Palace. Purple Cloud Sea region. In the main hall of the Fantasy Sea sect, Xia Chao, who was about to die, was shocked when he heard the voice. Then he realized that the sovereign law above the heavenly pattern island had completely disappeared. The sovereign law has disappeared. He was even more shocked by this change. Not only had the sovereign law disappeared, but even the chaotic law in the Dead Sea region had disappeared. Xia Chao was very clear. What did the disappearance of the sovereign law mean?
that meant
In the future, the cultivators of the heavenly pattern island would no longer have any restrictions. They could break through without restraint. Whether it was the heavenly humans or true immortals, the cultivators of the heavenly pattern island had the qualifications to reach them. The chaotic law in the Dead Sea region was extremely powerful. Even the ancient emperor of heaven and the sovereigns couldn't erase the chaotic law in the Dead Sea region.
but now,
A voice had changed the name of the Dead Sea region and directly erased the sovereign law and the chaotic law. The strength that was revealed was already more terrifying than the ancient emperor of heaven and the sovereigns. Between the heavens and earth, when did such a terrifying existence appear? Xia Chao was sure that this voice didn't belong to Qin Shujian. In other words, another terrifying expert had appeared in the world.
soon,
He recalled the purple aura that covered the Dead Sea region not long ago. Then, he looked at the purple aura that reached the clouds. It was so similar. Without a doubt, the two were definitely the same person. Purple Cloud Sea region, Purple Cloud Palace. It seems like the heavenly pattern island is going to change. Chapter 1065. The world had changed. Xia Chao understood that from this moment on, Heavenly Rune Island's transcendence no longer existed. The expert who created Purple Cloud Palace and the Purple Cloud Sea region was a supreme existence.
now,
That supreme existence was going to preach in the sea region. For most cultivators, it was an irresistible temptation. After all, if they could listen to such an expert preach, it would be a great opportunity. Even if they could get a little bit of it, it would be useful for their whole life. Before Xia Chao could be shocked, the other elders of the Fantasy Sea sect walked in. Old Ancestor. Greetings, Old Ancestor. Everyone bowed. Xia Chao glanced at them, and his face returned to normal. You're here for Purple Cloud Palace, right? That's right. An elder nodded. Purple Cloud Palace suddenly appeared. I also felt that the Heavenly Rune Island's Emperor's laws seemed to have disappeared. I don't know if it's true or not. Not at the 4th level of the Sky Human realm. His perception of the laws wasn't very sharp. Xia Chao nodded. It's as you think. The Heavenly Rune Island's Emperor's laws have indeed disappeared. The Dead Sea region that has existed for tens of thousands of years has finally become Purple Cloud Sea region. That person is a powerful expert. If you want to go to Purple Cloud Palace to seek the Tao, I won't stop you. But I only have one thing to warn you. From the direction of the Purple Clouds, Purple Cloud Palace exists in the depths of the sea region. You can imagine how dangerous it is. There weren't as many ferocious beasts in the sea region as before. However, no matter how few ferocious beasts there were, their strength couldn't be ignored. Any true immortal ferocious beast was a destructive disaster for the people of Heavenly Rune Island. After all, in Heavenly Rune Island, the strongest expert was only at the 3rd level of the Sky Human realm.
Apart from that,
Xia Chao and the others couldn't leave. A group of cultivators at the 3rd level of the Sky Human realm might have a chance against a Saint Realm ferocious beast. But if they encountered an almighty ferocious beast, they could only flee. But if it was a true immortal ferocious beast, that would be a dead end for him. Flee. That was impossible. The difference between a true immortal and a sky human was greater than the difference between a sky human and divine martial. In front of a true immortal, the average celestial was nothing but an ant. Hearing this, the group of illusionary sea sect elders all sunk into silence. Now, the spirit chi of heaven and earth had recovered. Although Heavenly Pattern Island was restricted and no experts in the 4th stage of the Heaven-Human realm were born, there were already quite a number of cultivators in the 3rd stage of the Heaven-Human realm. After a long time, an elder said, even if we don't go, there will definitely be others who will go. At that time, they will obtain an opportunity from that existence, and their strength will greatly increase. Our Fantasy Sea sect will be in a difficult situation. The 3 clans stand on equal footing, but in the end, there are still differences between the clans. If one side's strength increases greatly, it will be quite troublesome for the other two. Another person spoke up. Right now, the Heavenly Rune Island's 3 clans were standing on equal footing and seemed to be in harmony. But in reality, in Heavenly Pattern Island, there were 2 reasons why the 3 clans were in power. Firstly, Heavenly Rune Island was isolated from the rest of the world. There were no major conflicts. Secondly, the 3 powers kept each other in check. None of them could suppress the other 2. Therefore, only then would he be able to maintain peace. However, now that Heavenly Rune Island's sovereign laws had disappeared, there were also experts who had set up Tao temples in the depths of the sea. Once Heavenly Rune Island obtained a fortuitous encounter, it would have the qualifications to leave the sea and head for the land. At that time, Heavenly Rune Island's 3 clans would definitely not be as harmonious as they were now. If there was a difference in strength, the Fantasy Sea sect's human clan would be in an even more difficult situation. I understand what you all mean. Xia Chao nodded, his face filled with melancholy. The current Fantasy Sea sect no longer had a choice. If they did not want the Fantasy Sea sect's human clan to fall into danger, they could only head to Purple Cloud Palace and see if they could obtain a fortuitous encounter. He was very clear. The Fantasy Sea sect thought this way, and so did the other 2 clans. In front of fortuitous encounters, there were many things that could be directly ignored. Subsequently, Xia Chao looked at them. You can go, but not all of you. A portion of the Fantasy Sea sect needs to be left behind in case of an emergency. We understand. I am old. There are many things that you can decide on your own. Currently, the Heavenly Court's Emperor of Heaven is a human. Even if my Fantasy Sea sect's human clan is destroyed, the human clan in the world will not be destroyed.
Xia Chao said.
Heavenly Rune Island used to be the last foundation of the human clan. It remained within Heavenly Rune Island, but now it was different. The human clan in the outside world was flourishing. The importance of Heavenly Rune Island had already decreased by a lot. Therefore, even if the human clan in Heavenly Rune Island was destroyed, it would not have any impact. In this way, there were some aspects that did not need to be as conservative as before. After all the elders left, Xia Chao walked out of the main hall. Looking at the purple clouds in the sky, his expression became complicated. He was the descendant of the ancient human emperor. His talent was not weak. But he was imprisoned in Heavenly Rune Island forever. It was certain that he would not be willing to accept this. However, Xia Chao also knew that his current situation had already become a foregone conclusion. It was almost impossible to change it. I just don't know if that existence can help me. There was no reason for it. Such a thought appeared in his mind. No one was willing to continue existing as an artifact spirit. His divine soul decayed day by day, but there was no way to truly die. Xia Chao already had a premonition. Perhaps after a few 100,000 years, he could only lie down, unable to move. At that time, even if someone supported him, it would not be of much use. If this continues, what's the difference between that and death? Xia Chao sighed. In the past, he could silently continue like this for the sake of the human race. But now that the human race was no longer in any danger, he should pursue some other things. The descendant of the human emperor. He should not fall like this. When the people of the Fantasy Sea sect were preparing to head to the Purple Cloud Palace, the cultivators of the other two sects also made the same decision. The appearance of the Purple Cloud Palace. For anyone, it was a great opportunity. Such an opportunity, if they did not grasp it, it would be a lifetime loss. Compared to the unreachable Emperor of Heaven of the Heavenly Court, the supreme existence of the Purple Cloud Palace was even more within reach. In order to obtain the opportunity, the people of the three sects also came for a gathering. Then, with a total of more than 100 third-level heaven human cultivators from the three sects, together, headed towards the depths of the sea. There were so many cultivators. Even if they encountered almighty-level beasts, they would be able to kill them directly. As long as they did not encounter true, immortal-level beasts, there was almost no great danger. Chapter 1066. Imparting the Tao. Qin Shujian saw what happened in the Purple Cloud Sea region, but he had no intention of interfering. There was no other way. Since the sea region was given to Hongjun, he would let him do whatever he wanted. There weren't many living beings in the Heavenly Pattern Island, so they couldn't compare to the myriad races that he controlled. Under such circumstances, no matter how powerful Hongjun was, it would be difficult for him to develop quickly. And give me some more time, and my strength will be able to improve further. At that time, regardless of whether you are at Tao integration or not, you will definitely not be my match. A cold glint flashed across Qin Shujian's eyes. Compared to the last time he fought Luo Ho, after staying in the time formation for a period of time, his strength was no weaker than Hongjun, who had several connate cardinal treasures. However, he also knew that Hongjun's strength was not at his peak. But so what? At his peak, Hongjun could be considered one of the most powerful ancient gods. Even if his strength had not fully recovered, he was still much stronger than the injured Luo Ho. Such strength. He was still considered a powerful existence among the ancient gods. But even so, Qin Shujian also relied on his own strength to fight to a draw with the other party. He was confident. If he were to enter the time formation for a period of time, he could completely hang Hongjun up, provided that the other party was not at Tao integration. If the other party was at Tao integration, that would still be a problem. Hongjun is not scary. What is scary is Hongjun after Tao integration. Qin Shujian thought to himself. Hongjun didn't integrate the heavenly Tao, nor did he integrate the rules of the outer realm, but the rules of the universe. Once the other party succeeded in Tao integration, his strength could completely sweep away most of the ancient gods. To be honest, Qin Shujian wasn't too confident that he could deal with Hongjun, who was at Tao integration. Even if he could take drastic measures and directly absorb the power of all the living beings in the inner world for his own use, he wasn't 100% confident that he could suppress the other party. The reason why a Tao ancestor was a Tao ancestor. It was definitely not as simple as a title. My current strength is still a little lacking. Unless a few half-step Tao fruits appear in the inner world, as well as the number of true immortals multiplied by several times, and there are more rules, I will be confident in suppressing him. However, to accumulate so much power, it's not something that can be done in tens of thousands of years. Although the true immortals of the inner world did not have a lifespan limit, they had to face the 3 calamities and 6 tribulations. Not every true immortal had the qualifications to successfully transcend the tribulation. The great calamity was coming. There were quite a number of true immortals who failed their tribulations. This went on and on. It was already good enough that the strength of his inner world did not regress, let alone increase by a large margin. As such, relying on the number of true immortals to deal with the enemy was the most unreliable method. Instead, it was the strength of the laws of heaven and earth that Qin Shujian relied on to deal with the enemy. The stronger the foundation of heaven and earth, the stronger he was, breaking 10,000 laws with one force. That force had to be unleashed to the extreme in order to have the qualifications to break 10,000 laws. Now that Hongjun has returned, the experts of the other 2 macro worlds should be returning soon. One is the Netherworld, and the other is the Buddha sect. I have to find a place to settle down. Qin Shujian's mind was filled with thoughts. Since Hongjun and Luo Ho had been settled down, there was no harm in settling down 2 more people. The people of the Buddha sect can be settled in the original territory of the ancient Buddha clan. Since the destruction of the ancient Buddha clan, there are no other clans occupying the original territory of the ancient Buddha clan. It's a good place. Anyway, the ancient Buddha clan also has the word Buddha in their name. Their methods are similar to the Buddhist sect. It's just right to give it to the Buddhist sect. As for the Buddhist sect, Qin Shujian did not have a good or bad impression of them. It was the most stupid thing to judge a person's words purely based on one's senses. He only looked at what the Buddhist sect did and whether it was beneficial to him or not. And according to his understanding in the first era, the Buddhist sect was actually at odds with the Tao sect. Hongjun represented the Tao sect. If the Buddhist sect was settled down, Hongjun would have another threat. The rest is the netherworld. Qin Shujian frowned. The others were easy to arrange, but the netherworld was not. He was almost certain who the person from the netherworld was. As for that person, no matter where he was arranged, something seemed to be missing. After thinking for a long time, Qin Shujian suddenly looked down. That was where the fallen immortal realm was. The fallen immortal realm was the center of the 4 continents, and the heavenly court was above the fallen immortal realm, showing its supreme status. Strictly speaking, although the fallen immortal realm was not as high as the heavenly court, it was still extraordinary. The fallen immortal realm is not bad. The heavenly court and the netherworld are above, and the netherworld is below. If the great thousand world really evolves into reincarnation in the future, the position of the netherworld will be very important. Now the netherworld is placed in the fallen immortal realm to avoid future troubles. After figuring out the key points, Qin Shujian felt relieved. The fallen immortal realm was very important. He was usually reluctant to give it to others, but if it was the netherworld, then there would be no problem. Several eras later, in Qin Shujian's opinion, the person from the netherworld could definitely be ranked in the top 3. Then, Qin Shujian was ready to enter the time formation to cultivate. Hongjun returned. He was pressed for time again. That Tao ancestor had powerful means. If he did not improve his strength, he would not be able to suppress him in the future, and that would be inviting a wolf into the house. Only by improving his own strength, then all the problems would no longer be a problem. However, before cultivating, Qin Shujian called for a court meeting first. Since the destruction of the demon abyss, all the immortals and gods of the heavenly court gathered in the inner hall of the heavenly palace for the first time. A few days ago, You must be very clear about the movements of heaven and earth. It was the return of Tao ancestor Hongjun and demon ancestor Luo, Ho of the First Era. In order to avoid disputes, I have given Heavenly Abyss to Luo Ho and the Dead Sea Domain to Hongjun. In the future, these two places will no longer be under the jurisdiction of the Heavenly Court, as you all understand. Qin Shu Jian said lightly. However, when talking about Heavenly Abyss and the Dead Sea Domain, he used the word given. Demon ancestor Luo Ho, Tao ancestor Hongjun. The immortals of the Heavenly Court looked at each other, and there was a look of shock on everyone's face. There was no other reason. Just from the name alone, one could know that these two were supreme experts. Luo Ho and the others knew that they were the instigators of the Demon Abyss. However, this was the first time they had heard the words of a Tao ancestor. However, the other party could be on par with Luo Ho, so he was undoubtedly a Tao fruit-level existence. Emperor Zhao cupped his hands and said, Heavenly Abyss and the Dead Sea Domain were given to the two of them. If the two of them use this opportunity to cause trouble, what should we do? According to the agreement, the Heavenly Court will not interfere in the matters of the two. Similarly, they cannot interfere in the matters of the 4 major continents. If there is a violation, I will naturally punish them. As for the disciples under the two of them, they can ignore them if they are traveling the world. However, if they cause a big commotion, then deal with them as you wish. We obey. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.